Sorry. Oh my god! We're moving away the things that might actually. All right, you guys keep the water in your mouths, please. 1, 2. Ready? Oh, that felt kind of good.
Okay, it's at 20. I told you, bro.
Hell yeah.
Okay, can I put it up to... Okay.
I want more. Oh, that's kind of nice. Oh, it woke me up.
Take it off! Take it off!
No!
I'm turning this
My
off.
collar!
Alright, this is
my
over.
collar!
Pet dog!
Fuck! I broke my computer screen. I broke my computer. This is my computer now. Okay, we're gonna work on this. We're gonna work on this. I'm gonna work on this. I don't have anger issues.
Distraction? There's no distractions going on here. I don't know what you're talking about. Wait, I got this. I got this.
I don't know. We're not putting them. You're using my one-piece books. You're not reading them anyway. You're not reading them anyway. You're never gonna read them.
Andrea took my one-piece books and she put them under her DJs. Andrea, use your own
You don't
books.
even read them. You have 40 books and you don't read. You don't read.
But can we talk about something? Why is it this photo? Why does everybody have a fantastic photo and this is a screenshot from a random PCL stream when they used to make us wear the little golf shirts that don't even make sense? I'm not even looking at the camera. What is this? What photo do you want? Oh, well, I would love the same photo I have on Instagram and Twitter. Wait, did we change? We did it! Yeah! Hell yeah! Hey! Who made me 37, you asshole? Whoa! What are you doing? You came.
So again, for the context, try to read Jen Shahade. Shahadi article from... Fight.
Mouth slip.
Okay.
I slipped.
Okay.
Didn't mean to ruin the
Scared
moment.
the shit of me.
Yeah, my bad.
Question, trap question. Who are strong in this position? Bishops or knights?
That soon. Shh. All right, let me know if you guys can hear me. Okay, wait, it should be fixed now. Should be fixed now. Okay, now it's working. Okay, good. Anyway, as we can see from the live cameras, the sisters are getting ready. We see already some moves on Alexander's board. So let's show it to everyone. So E4 was played, I assume. E6 by Alexander, D4, and D5. So we have a French defense. Andrea is playing in the background. Apparently she forgot her camera, so she's a few minutes late, but the moves are soon gonna come in on her board as well. In the meantime, we have knight of c3 and knight of 6. All of this is mainline theory. e5 is here a main move for white, attacking the knight. You can also go bishop to g5. But we have e5 on the board, attacking the knight. Now, I'm sure Alexander will play knight of d7, and there we have it on the board. And here white's main move is the move f4 to really strengthen that pawn chain in the middle, because black is going to go c5 to undermine white's pawns. And there we have f4. And we also, yeah, and c5 by Alexander. So we also have Andrea's camera set up. She should be sitting down momentarily. And the moves are probably going to come in there very soon as well. Oh, some issues with the camera. All right, so after c5, Alexander's opponent is thinking, but the main move here by far and large is the move knight of 3, developing the knight and strengthening the pawns in the middle. All right, I'm a little surprised here because Andrea's opponent is at the board, but he hasn't moved yet. Whereas normally you make your first move, press the clock. I mean, you don't have to, like, what you can do is you can wait for your opponent to start the clock, but it's a little bit unusual to let your time tick down and not make your move yet if your opponent is not at the board. Abia, great start for Alexander. She's on 4.5 out of 5. And also good start for Andrea, who's on 3.5 out of 5. And there we have the handshake. All right, sorry, knight of 3 was played and knight c6 here. All right, and Andrea's game has also started with white opening up with the move 1e4 as well. 1e4, and let's see what Andrea is going to do. All right. Let's see, she's getting ready on the board, and Andrea responds with the Sicilian. So c5. Okay. Let's see what her opponent's going to do. Oh, he goes d4. d4. So we might see a Smith-Morra gambit. The main move here by far and large is to take the pawn. And that's also the move I expect. And then probably white's going to go c3 to sacrifice the pawn. Let's see. Because no other move really makes sense besides c takes d4, because that's, of course, the whole point behind the Sicilian. On Alexandra's board, her opponent is still thinking, and there we see c takes d4 by Andrea. And now, as I mentioned, c3 here, by far and large, is white's main move. And there we have it on the board. All right, so here there's some options for black. You can just accept the gambit with d takes c3. You go up a pawn, but white gets a lead in development after knight takes c3. Another option you have is to play knight of 6 here, to decline the gambit and develop your knight. And this often transposes back into the Alapin variation of the Sicilian. If you want to decline the gambit, you can also go d3, but generally white is considered to be better there after bishop takes. So let's see what she's going to do. All right, so Andrea accepted the gambit. She took on c3, and white recaptured with the knight. All right, so here there's many ways to play. You can go like knight c6, pawn e6. You don't really want to go knight of 6, then white can go e5, attack the knight, and you have to move it back. But knight c6, d6, e6, maybe even g6, all those moves make sense. So let's see which one. She goes e6. Okay, makes perfect sense. All right, now white's probably going to play knight of 3, standard move in the Smith-Morra gambit, and then I suppose something like knight c6. Just normal developing moves. And we have knight of 3 on the board. Yeah, hammer looks a little different today. Yep. Good morning, everyone. Knight of 3 has been played by white. Can now expect something like knight c6. All right. And Alexander's opponent's still thinking as well. A hammer said to be mean to his replacement. Okay. No, that's not hammer. Oh, hammer is preparing for a tournament. Okay, nice. Okay. I don't know which tournament hammer is playing. Maybe like the Norwegian Championship or something. In the meantime, we have a move by Andrea. After knight of 3, she played bishop to b4, developing the bishop and creating a pin here on the knight of c3. So let's see what white's going to do. A move that makes sense to me is queen d4, attacking the bishop and the pawn on g7 that is now undefended. So let's see if that is what white is going to go for. To be honest, I do not know how old their opponents are. I can have a quick look for you guys if you want to. So let me see. Dominique Wasiluk is his name. Let's see. Andrea's opponent was born in 2012, so he's probably 12 years old. Yep. And that's why young players often like to play aggressively. Oh, sorry, I'm going too fast. All right. Anyway, we have a move here by white. White played bishop to f4, developing the bishop and targeting these weak squares over here. Now a move that would make sense is to play d7, d6, covering those squares. Now, after d6, a move you have to watch out for is something like queen a4 check, checking the king and attacking the bishop. But fortunately for black, there is still the move knight to c6, blocking the check and defending the bishop. So to me, d6 here makes perfect sense. Let's see if that is going to be played. Yeah, my pleasure. All right, yeah. Welcome, everyone. Okay, so in the meantime, Alexander's opponent is still thinking. Knight c6, all of this is mainline theory. The main move here, as far as I know, is bishop e3. Developing, has that been played? I think so. Sorry, my bad. Bishop e3 has been played, and bishop e7 here by Alexander. So developing the bishop, black can go kingside castles next, if she wishes to do so. Besides bishop e7, another plan to go for is a6 and b5, but bishop e7 definitely one of the main moves. And now we'll probably see queen d2 by white, aiming to go for queenside castles. So very often in this line, white will aim for queenside castles, and black will often go for kingside castles, or leave the king in the middle, at least for the time being. White can also opt for kingside castles. Nothing wrong with that as well. All right, so let's see. So Andrea's thinking right now. Again, to me, d6 makes sense. She goes knight f6, also a sensible move, developing the knight. All right, so now she's attacking the pawn on e4. Okay, and if white goes e5 to step up the pawn and attack the knight, she can then go knight d5, attacking the bishop on f4 and making use of this pin on the knight on c3 and putting further pressure. So white cannot take, as that would put the king in check. So good move, attacking the pawn. So as I mentioned, white can push up the pawn. We can also go bishop d3 to defend it. Let's see what white's going to do. In the meantime, Alexander's opponent is still thinking. As far as I can see, the queen is on d2. So early time advantage for Alexander. She's up 7 minutes, whereas Andrea and her opponent are even on the clock. Where's Hammer? Hammer is taking the time, taking the day off. Could I introduce myself? So I'm Benjamin Bach. I'm a Grandmaster from the Netherlands, and I'll be commentating today. Oh, so Alexander's opponent is on 5 points. Okay. So if Alexander wins, that means that she will take over the lead. Do I know Joost Little, Joost Klein? Hammer did rap yesterday. I think Lose Yourself, it's called from Eminem. Can I do that too? Perhaps if I pull up the lyrics. My next tournament is going to be the Dutch Championship, so that's going to be early July. Yeah, unfortunately, the Netherlands lost yesterday to Austria. All right, so queen e2 has been played here. By far and large, the main move. So now let's see what Alexander is going to do. Kingside castles is a move that makes perfect sense here. Also, something like a6 makes a lot of sense. So try to expand on the queen side with b5. The good thing for the Netherlands is, though, is that they are still in the European Soccer Championship. So it's not like it's over. All right, who will castle first? I think probably Alexander, because castling makes a lot of sense. On the other hand, if Alexander doesn't castle here, it might be Andrea, because black also probably will castle. She goes b6. This move also makes a lot of sense. And the nice thing about the move b6 is that often if you castle here, white can take on c5, and you're forced to recapture with a piece. Whereas now after b6, in case white takes, you can recapture with the pawn. And okay, we see g3 by white, so white also going for a fianchetto. Now, what could make sense here is maybe to delay the development of the bishop, play a move like castles, and then maybe bishop g2, let's say with bishop a6, stopping white from castling kingside. So let's see. Hammer has also brought up his endgame book to teach us how to draw with rook versus 2 pawns, but he didn't. I think I have Dvoretsky's endgame manual somewhere here in the back, in case you guys really want. But anyway, let's see what Alexander is going to do. I think castles makes a lot of sense. Bishop b7 as well. But I like castles with the idea to develop the bishop to a6 and stop white from castling. Andrea is, yeah, she is playing a kid. Her opponent is 12 years old. So let's see what he's going to do. e5 makes perfect sense. Bishop to d3 as well. Hammer gave a Dvoretsky class yesterday. That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah. Well, okay, people say, like, okay, if you play against the kid, it's scary. The thing is, when you play against the kid, there are certain things they're good at. There's also things they are not as good at. So you have to try to get them into a stage of the game where they are struggling and where your experience will count for more. Often that's the end game, or maybe positions that aren't as tactical, so to speak. That being said, like, you also shouldn't avoid complications just because you're scared or something. So I'd say you just play as you normally would, but maybe if you have the choice, steer the game a little bit more towards the end game. That's often a good strategy. All right. So let's see. It looks like Andrea's opponent is about to move. And Alexander has castled. So I guess that gives the prediction a result. Okay, let's see what her opponent's going to do. Bishop g2, a very logical follow-up. And then maybe bishop a6, developing the bishop, stopping white from castling. Makes a lot of sense to me. Then white will be forced to go queenside castles. And if you go queenside castles, black can consider to go c4, b5, and b4, and create a lot of counterplay on the queenside. All right. Levi, that's not how you pronounce Levy's name. I'm pretty sure it's with a Y, not with an I. Okay, so with castles on the board, bishop g2 is the logical follow-up here. Again, it's not that easy for white, because if you castle, black's more than happy to go c4, followed by b5, and start pushing all of these pawns on the queen side, and create a lot of counterplay. So you can go bishop here, but then I think bishop a6 is a clever move. So let's see what Philip is going to do. All right, so just wanted to let all of you guys know, since I'll be commentating solo today, feel free to ask any questions in the chat. I'll be more than happy to answer those. And yeah, let's just have a fun stream. Okay, no, you confuse him with the jeans guy. The IM is Levi. Okay, so it's Levi Jeans and Levi Rosaman. Yeah. Hammer. Who am I rooting for in the Euro Cup? That's a tough question. I'm from the Netherlands, but yeah, I'll root for the Netherlands this time. Okay, so bishop d3 has been played by Andrea's opponent, defending the pawn on e4. Maybe Andrea will castle now, which means that Alexander has won the bet by 1 point, by 1 move. You can also go d5 here, playing in the center, but I think overall black can be pretty satisfied about how the game is going so far, given the fact that she's up a pawn. The Netherlands is not out. These days, if you finish 3rd in the group, you also advance. Anyway, Alexander's opponent has moved, and he's played bishop to h3, which definitely makes some sense. In the foreseeable future, he probably wants to go f5 to put pressure on his pawn on e6. What do you mean? Do I feel like Hammer? I guess I guess so, because he's often here. Can I explain castling and what squares they have to go to when castling? So when you castle kingside, your king moves to the g8 square and the rook swings over to f8. So the king always moves 2 squares, either to the left or to the right. So in this case, the king went kingside. If you castle queenside, the king also moves 2 squares, and the rook moves over to the square next to the king. All right, so let's see bishop h3. Okay, again, bishop a6 makes sense, stopping this. Let's see if that is what she's going to play. You can also consider something like f5 to block this diagonal, but white can take en passant. You can recapture the knight to defend the pawn that way. All right, so let's see what is going to happen. Only the 2 best third places, I think the best 4 numbers 3 advance to the next round. Yeah, it's already confirmed that the Netherlands in the next round. I have no idea who we are going to play. Probably maybe a country like England. Do I remember the Netherlands losing the World Cup final in 2010? Yes, I did. Yeah, that hurt. Could I beat Hammer in a bullet game? I played Hammer recently in, I believe, Hyper Bullet, and he was pretty fast. But I think I won. But I'd say it's close. Where am I from? I'm from the Netherlands. I wouldn't say bishop a6 is necessary. I just think it's a clever move, as you stop white from castling kingside. Philip is currently in first place with 5 points. Alex is tied for second with 4.5. Aha, so she's only a half point behind. And if she wins this game, she would probably take over the lead. All right, so let's see what's going to happen. What time is it in the Netherlands right now? It's 18 past 4. Same time in Poland, by the way, Central European time. So the rounds are relatively late. Normally rounds are like 3 o'clock, I'd say, is a normal time, or like 2 or maybe 1. 4 is more on the later end. Usually rounds, they don't start later than 5, although I think I've played once in a tournament where the round started at 7, if I'm not mistaken. But 4 is definitely a little bit late. And sometimes that is a bit of a struggle, you know, like what are you going to do with your entire day before the round finally begins? But I'm sure they did some preparation and they're ready for the games here. Anyway, we don't have any moves so far. Andrea and Alexander's opponent. Oh no, Andrea and Alex are both thinking at this point. Yes, I'm preparing for the Dutch Championship. Yep. And then let's play England's next. Aha. Czech Republic beats Turkey. I mean, I guess we'll just see what happens. In the meantime, we have a move by Andrea, knight is c6. A very logical move, developing the knight. All right, so now I expect white to castle here. And then maybe castles as well from black. The thing is, though, this e5 push can still be annoying. So you definitely have to take into consideration how you want to deal with that one. And I think for now, e5 can comfortably be met with knight d5, attacking the bishop and the knight. But after castles, e5 becomes a problem, because then the knight will no longer be pinned, and white can take. You can also go d6 to stop e5 altogether. So let's see what's going to happen here. Thank you, Matt Banners. Well, it's a lot of fun to be here. Will Geary and the Van Forest brother play the Dutch Championship? So Anish is not playing the Dutch Championship, and neither are the Van Forest brothers. On average, are GM players wealthy? It's a good question. Usually, to be able to be good at chess, you definitely need some support. So, most chess players they come from privilege. And are they wealthy is a good question. There's definitely a lot of opportunities now to make money from chess, not only playing, but also, you know, stuff like teaching, creating courses. So I'd say overall chess players are definitely doing better now than a couple years ago. Hammer says he makes the medium bucks. All right, well, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what you guys are probably like just baiting me and stuff with all the hammer comments. Anyway, let's stay focused on the games. Let's see what Alexander is gonna do. Are all games recorded? Anyway, not all games are on a live board in this tournament. If we see in the background, for example, the guy in the right corner, right top hand corner, it seems like they are playing on a plastic board. So probably those games will not be broadcasted. How would Alex defend in case of bishop a6 and f5? I think in case of f5, then you loosen up the e5 pawn, and black can take advantage of that by taking on d4, and then taking the pawn on e5. So bishop a6 makes a lot of sense. Do I remember the Netherlands losing to Argentina in the 1978 World Cup final? I was rooting for the team with the orange colors. I definitely do remember that World Cup final, even though I was not born at that time. Yeah. But I do remember the final. Hello, AK43. I will have to rap before the stream is over. We'll see about that. I'm not a professional rapper. Sure. Okay, we have a very interesting comment in the chat. Yeah, so I guess what you're getting at, well, to be good at chess, you definitely must have a natural appetite for the game, but it's also good to be introduced to chess at a young age, and just absorb as much chess as possible. With chess, just the earlier you start, the better, if you want to get good. Okay. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. D6 has been played by Andrea. Makes perfect sense. Stopping white. I guess castles was played. Stopping white from playing e4, e5. All right, so for the moment, black is still up a pawn. Definitely counts for something. So let's see what is going to happen. Two questions. When does endgame in chess begin? And will it still be endgame if both players promote a couple pawns each to queens? Good question. I mean, okay, well, usually you talk about an endgame when the queens are off, right? Now, let's say only the queens are off and then both sides promote a pawn, then it's pretty much just a middle game. So it kind of depends on how many pieces are still on the board, but generally we talk about an endgame when the queens are off, except for when only the queens are exchanged. Very often that is referred to as a queenless middle game. But there are also queen endgames, exactly. Yeah, queen endgames, or maybe an endgame like queen and rook each, queen and two rooks each. Those are also considered to be endgames. Or like maybe both sides having like a queen and a knight, or a queen and a bishop. Or I'd say even if you have, let's say, a queen and like two minor pieces, you can consider it an endgame. Like let's say queen and two other pieces, I consider it an endgame. Whereas Hammer is not here today. I don't know where he is. Leon, to answer your question, the answer is no. All right. We have more moves. It seems like Alexandra she took the pawn on d4. Okay, so now probably white's going to recapture with the knight. And then I'm curious. Maybe like bishop e7, maybe take. Let's see what's going to happen. Hammer didn't tell Ben. Tell me what was he? What should he have told me? Aha, Hammer is preparing for the Norwegian Championship. Okay, nice. Yeah, overall people have been nice to me. All right, so knight takes d4 by Philip on the board. Makes a lot of sense. Let's see what's going to happen now. It's the expected move. He's at home. When is the Norwegian Chess Championship? I don't know when the Norwegian Championship is, but good luck to Hammer. I hope he does well. I don't know who's going to be playing. I assume Magnus is not going to play, and he's probably going to compete with someone like Ariantari for first place. Do I want to be your coach? If you are interested in my coaching, you can always send me a message or an email, and I can see if I can fit you in. Yeah, my pleasure, Okru. It's nice to be here. He's top seed. Okay, nice. Okay, well, like I said, good luck to Hammer, and I hope my fellow commentator he does well, and he gets. I'm sure he's won some Norwegian championships. I hope he wins another one. I have never been the US champion because I'm not from the US. I play for the Netherlands. All right, thank you, A3 Nick. All right, anyway, let's see what's gonna happen. Philip recaptured with a knight, the move we expected. So now maybe like bishop b7, developing the bishop, defending the knight. You can also trade. Queen c7 makes perfect sense as well. Knight a5 is a move, trying to go knight c4, but I guess white will play b3 and stop it. Who's the best GM from the Netherlands? It's clearly Anish. He is in the top 15, or at least top 20. When did I get introduced to chess myself? I believe my dad taught me the game when I was like 6 years old. Dominic. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the time situation. Both Philip and Alexander have around like 1 hour and 22 minutes on the clock. Andrea up a few minutes. So let's see. Hammer said chat should be nice to Bach, or he will speak to moderators. I think the chat has been nice to me, so that's good. Thoughts on Faustino Oro? Great prodigy. I mean, he's only 10 years old, so the future is bright for sure. I'd say getting from FM to IM in 1 year is pretty normal. Wouldn't say that's crazy. Do I know where Anish keeps all his stolen pieces from over the board tournaments? Well, very often what people like to do is they like to spin a pawn when it's not their move, just as like something to spin. And I guess if he's not spinning it, he's probably putting it in his pocket. That's my best guess. All right. About how many grandmasters make a full-time living off of chess? Do you mean playing chess, or do you mean also coaching, training courses, stuff like that? Only playing? Well, it depends what you mean by a living, right? Some people think that you make a living if you make, let's say, $200,000 a year. Some people might think you make a living if you make $100,000 a year. For some people, they might consider like $50,000 a year a living. So depends on what you consider a living. $50,000 plus. Okay, so let's say 100,000. Let's say 100,000. It depends. Some players are more active than others. But I'd say probably around like 30 players or so are able to make that kind of money on an annual basis, I would think. Maybe even a little bit more. Like if you play all the time, then you might be able to get that together. I'd say like if you're around 2,700, that's the kind of money you make. Yeah, actually, I watched that interview as well from Sam Shangland. He thought that if you're 2,700, you make in between like 90 and 100K. That being said, it also depends on where you're from, right? Like a lot of the tournaments in the US, they pay really well. So if you are in the US and you can play the US Championship, the American Cup, some events in St. Louis, then of course you make better money than if you're from another country. Anyway, let's talk about the chess. A move has been played in Andrea's game, but I can't tell, or wait, let me have a look over here. Let's see. H3. I mean, h3 definitely improves the white position. He's creating an escape square for his king, taking away the g4 square, but definitely not a move to be concerned about. I'd say after castles, black should be up a pretty healthy pawn. Generally speaking, when you are down a pawn, you want to do something quickly. You want to prove the compensation. And if you play slowly, well, then if black manages to get their pieces into the game as well, then the pawn will definitely count for something in the endgame. So I think we're happy to see this move. In the meantime, Alexander played bishop e7, developing the bishop and defending the knight. Makes perfect sense. All right, let's see what is going to happen. I will yeah, well, anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Where's Hammer today? Hammer apparently is preparing for the Norwegian Championship. All right, and we have kingside castles by Andrea. Good move, just getting the king to safety. All right, let's see what white is going to do here. I mean, maybe something like rook c1, rook e1, maybe queen e2 followed by rook fd1. Also makes perfect sense. White definitely has some compensation because they have pretty much all of their pieces developed, whereas black has not yet developed this bishop on c8. White's pieces are also slightly more active, but I would pick black here. Black is up a pawn, so it is up to white to prove the compensation. Can Alex win this tournament? Absolutely. I mean, if she wins all of the games, then she wins. I mean, even if maybe even if Andrea wins all of the games, she might win. Yeah, the thing also with tennis is that with tennis, there's no such thing as conditions. Like everyone pays for their hotel, for their flights. So you have to pay for all of your own expenses. Anyway, white has played a move, and white has played queen to e2, clearing the d1 square for his rook. All right, let's see what's going to happen here. You can maybe trade your bishop for the knight on c3, giving white some isolated pawns. e5 at a certain moment makes sense, attacking the bishop. Overall, black should definitely be doing well here. So let's see what's going to happen. I'm definitely still playing competitively, but I'm not playing competitively full-time. I'm also, coaching, commentating, things of that nature. Yeah, and tennis players have to pay for the coaches to travel with them. Yeah. So I once heard a professional tennis player say that he made like 400, 500K a year, but that he's spending like 100K of that on expenses. Who will win Hammer versus me 10 Blitz games? Should be a pretty even match. All right. Anyway. Alexander's opponent is on 5 points out of 5. So he's on a perfect score. He's leading the event. But if Alexander wins, she will overtake him in the lead. All right, so let's see what he's going to do. Right now, he's got a decision to make. He can either go kingside castles, perhaps more of the safe approach, or queenside castles. If he really wants to go aggressive and win, this is probably the move he will go for. If he wants to play more safe, then he's probably going to go for this. Anyway, we have a move by Andrea. She played pawn to e5, attacking the bishop on f4, and giving this bishop some more scope. So I expect this bishop to move to g5 to put some pressure on the knight on f6. And then maybe it's not a bad time to trade off the bishop for the knight. So let's see what's going to happen. Great question, Okru. I enjoy all of those activities, but there's definitely pros and cons to all of those. Like playing is definitely more, I guess, more challenging, more stressful, more demanding. But if you win, it's definitely also the most fulfilling. Do I think Elina Rubers will become a grandmaster? And I'm sure that pretty much any chess player feels about that. So that's why you see some players taking a break. They're like, oh, this is kind of stressful. But then maybe after a while they want to play again because they miss the thrill of playing. I think Elina Rubers can definitely become a grandmaster. She's like 2,400 or something. Let me check for you guys. Oh, I mean, she's still very young, so definitely still a lot of time to improve. 95 definitely is an idea to go with the knight of c4. Anyway, we have a move in Andrea's game. Her opponent played bishop to g5, the move we expected, pinning the knight and fighting for control over the d5 square. So I think now you probably take the knight on c3. Give white these isolated pawns. You can also go bishop b6, but then, you know, you leave this option on the table. And it might not be a bad idea to just completely eliminate that option. Which side should Philip castle on? I don't know. We'll find out. It's up to him. It's up to him. If he's feeling aggressive, he should castle queenside. If he's feeling more solid, he should castle kingside. Interesting question. Bishop takes e6, I think, is not a good move because of knight takes d4. So before white is able to recapture with the knight, we first take the knight on d4, so that if white recaptures, then we can take. And then there's no knight takes c6. I think Andrea is definitely better here, and that's also what the evil bar is showing. She's up a pawn here, and I think white simply has insufficient compensation. All right, so Andrea took the knight on c3, good move. White's surely going to recapture with the pawn. And then I think something like bishop e6 or e6, and I'm having a tough time seeing white's compensation. Exactly, it's 50-50. If he does queenside or kingside, yep. Can either way. What do I think about the young prodigy Levy Roseman? Can he become a GM? I definitely don't think it's impossible. I mean, if you saw how Levy played in this last event, I think Levy just needs to pick the right tournaments where he's not playing against too many kids. And it's showing that he can compete with these IMs, GMs. And he was close to a GM norm. He was doing very well in his 8-round game, and had he won that game, then he's probably going to get the norm. But unfortunately for him, he lost. But I think either way, it's a very good step towards the GM title, because he gains a bunch of rating, gains a bunch of confidence. And yeah, like I said, it's showing that he can compete with those guys. So it's just up to him. Like if he continues to study and play tournaments, then I think he definitely has a shot. Anyway, we have b takes c3 on the board, and now h6, challenging this bishop on g5. I think a good move. You definitely don't mind the trade. Your queen becomes active, and white gives up the bishop pair, which is really white's only source of compensation right now. If we see black has an extra pawn, a better pawn structure, again, the only thing white has got going for them is the bishop pair. So you definitely don't want to give up the bishop for the knight. So I'm sure he's going to move the bishop either back, or either the e3 or h4, or maybe the c1 to come out here and put pressure on the pawn on d6 that way. But it's not really in the nature of, let's say, a young player to move the bishop all the way back, to undevelop the bishop, so to speak, because that's not what you're taught. It's not the move I expect. I think he's more likely to go, let's say, bishop h4. Interesting question, Sepper. I know that the Charlotte Chess Center, they have tournaments only for adults. Isn't it called like Alto, at least 21 years old? What does Levy need to be a GM? Levy needs to gain 150 points and 3 GM norms. I'm sure if he does all of that, he's going to get the title. But not sure. If you guys disagree, then let me know. All right, anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Alexander, in the meantime, is up around 10 minutes on the clock, so that's a good start for her. And Andrea, she has a very small lead on the clock, like 4 or 5 minutes, but she's got a great position on the board. What are the parameters to get a GM norm, or do they change tournament to tournament? So generally speaking, if you want to get a GM norm, you have to perform at a 2600 level, which makes it so difficult. Because if you want to become a GM, you need a rating of 2500. So even if you are at 2500 level, you need to overperform by 100 points. Whereas if you want to become an IM, you need a rating of 2400, and then you need performance ratings of 2450. So you only need to overperform by 50 points. But again, for GM norm, you really have to perform at 2600 level, which is very difficult. So that is one thing, and you need to play against enough title players, including GMs. So I think you need to play against 3 GMs and maybe like 5 title players in total. Well, to be a GM, you need 2500 rating, but to get the GM norm, you need 2600 performances. I don't think I think IM and GM is too close. Should be a bigger gap between them. I mean, those titles were introduced a long time ago, and that's ultimately up to FIDE. Yeah, you need a 2600 performance. That's what I'm saying. But you need a 2500 rating. Yeah. I think Gerber Baby is explaining it very well in the chat. The rating you need is 2500, but you need results as if you were 2600. Yeah, often the GMs also have to be from different countries. Yeah, so sometimes you might get the performance, you might get enough GMs, but you don't get enough flags, so to speak. You don't. The players need to be from different nationalities. Exactly. Sometimes if you win a tournament, then you can get the GM title as well. How many GMs are there who only start playing as an adult teen? I think definitely some players who started in their teenage years as an adult. So let's say over the age of 20. I don't know. But I think it's honestly rare. Most GMs, they started when their age was 1 digit. Like 6, 7, maybe 8. 8 is already considered a little bit old. Hammer looks different today, indeed. Yep. How do you become a super GM with rating is that? Some people consider players a super GM once they reach 2700. That's generally the requirement, the threshold. Hello, Mixel. Good to see you. I didn't say, like 8 is definitely not too old. I mean, okay, the better you want to become a chess, it's usually better to start as early as possible. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Alexander's opponent taking a lot of time here. She's up like 14 minutes on the clock, so that's a good start. And I think he's hesitating a little bit. Does he want to play aggressively with queenside castles, or again play more solid with queenside castles? So let's see what's going to happen. Only 25% of IMs become GMs. Interesting. Yeah. All right. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Probably queenside castles makes a lot more sense. Is it possible to get the norms? Yes. You can definitely get the norms before hitting 2500, and then you become a GM once your rating hits 2500. You, by the way, don't need to reach 2500 on the FIDE rating list. You only need to reach it live. So let's say you're playing a tournament and your rating is 2499 and you win the first round and you gain a couple points. That's when you become a GM, even if you lose all the games after. It's a good question, Skittles. I honestly don't know, but for a lot of people, it's like the final crown on their chess career. Well, you don't have to talk to FIDE to get a rating, but you need to play in FIDE rated events. And but to get the GM title, you have to apply. You say like, hey, I got these norms, I got the rating, can I get my title? And then I think often you also have to pay a fee. So Margie actually started chess at 14. That's very impressive. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's see what's going to happen. Are the games always this slow? Yeah, I mean, this is how classical chess is. At the beginning, it's definitely a little bit slower. And the action often only comes later in the games. You're welcome. Welcome, Chuck. Mm-hmm. How do people make a living out of chess? There's a few ways. First of all, first and foremost, there's playing chess. Then you can teach chess. You can also create courses. And then these days, there's also chess content creation. So people streaming what we're doing right here or creating YouTube videos. So that's how a lot of people make their living in chess. Commentating is another way. Writing books. Yes, so writing courses, writing books. All of those are ways how people make a living in chess. But I'd say the most common way is chess teaching. And then, yeah, some people might also have sponsors. Mm-hmm. All right. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Alexander's opponent is still thinking. He is now down 20 minutes on the clock. Are prize pools a big thing? Yes, at the higher levels, definitely. And some online events as well. Hello, Pep. Oh, great to see you. Great to see you. All right, anyway, let's see what's going to happen. People are asking if it's a viable way to make a living from teaching chess. I mean, people have a certain rate, whatever that may be. I mean, generally speaking, the better someone is at both playing and coaching, the higher their rate will be. And then you multiply that by the hours they teach. And then, again, you decide for yourself whether that's a living or not. I was always confident I would make GM, yeah. But for me, like, it was more like what level I would reach beyond that. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. I think queenside castles definitely makes a lot of sense. Try to prepare 5. Kingside castles as well. He just needs to make a decision right now. How many hours a day do you need to practice to become a GM? Man, like, I feel like whenever people see a GM, it's like, oh, GM, I need to ask him this question. Like, oh, I want to become GM. How do I become GM? How many hours a day? What do I need to do? What rating? Et cetera, et cetera. I mean, again, the earlier you start out, the better. But I'd say, I mean, most talented players in their teenage years, they definitely study like a couple hours a day. But I'd say if you train chess 25 hours a day, you're in a pretty good spot, yeah. It also depends on your talent, right? Right, like let's say Magnus Carlsen, he probably had to practice less hours to get to GM than in some others. But for Magnus, like same thing for Magnus. Magnus, okay, for him becoming GM, I guess it was nice, but he didn't care too much about it because he always knew he wanted to become world champion. So GM was just one step along the way. Anyway, Andrea's opponent has moved. He played bishop to c1. Makes a lot of sense. He wants to redevelop the bishop to a3 to put a lot of pressure on the pawn on d6. Maybe he moved now to make sense for Andrea. So to go queen a5 to stop that move from white. Let's see if that's what she is going to do. Yeah, looks like a good position for black and up a pawn. So you can't really ask for more with black after 13 moves. Okay. Alexander's opponent is still thinking. He's about to drop below an hour on the clock. And that could perhaps wake him up a little bit. He might look at the clock, see like, oh, I'm already below an hour. It's time to move. Right? Because he's been thinking for like 20, 25 minutes. What is he thinking about? I honestly don't know. Let's take a guess. What could he be looking at? I mean, bishop takes c6. We established that that is not a move due to knight takes c4. Queenside castles is a move he can consider, and he might be weighing the pros and cons of that. He can also go kingside castles. He's probably weighing the pros and cons of that as well. Knight takes c6 maybe, sacrificing the knight. He's probably briefly looked at a5, but he probably quickly figured out that it's not a move due to knight takes c5, take, knight takes d4, and a fork on f3. So those are the moves I think he's looking at. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be queenside castles or kingside castles. I'd be surprised if we see another move. All right. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. No move so far. Everyone taking their time today. All right, fine. Let me answer a few chat questions. 92 for sure is a move as well. So in case black takes, you can recapture the knight. Definitely makes sense as well. Where's Hammer? Hammer is preparing for the Norwegian Championship. Okay. Do I play video games? Very occasionally. I've done some games when they sponsored me, but other than that, not really. If your opponent makes an illegal move, but it's to your advantage, do you have to call an illegal move on the opponent? I mean, if it's an illegal move, you just can't allow. You have to call the arbiter and force your opponent to make another move. Can I show you guys some variations? I mean, I can, but I do want to keep the live board up. I don't want to mess around too much. Yes, I actually did play against Hammer a few times. So Hammer and I, we played a game when we first played. This is many, many years ago. This is 13 years ago. This was at the European Championship in France when he was a pretty strong GM. I was an IM, and the game ended in a draw. We also played once in London, and he beat me there with the black pieces. And I believe that might have been it as to our classical games. No, Hammer was like 20, 21 at the time, and I was 16. What is my winning record against Magnus? Well, that's a great question. It's a great question. I once played Magnus over the board of the World Rapid Championship, and I lost. But on chess.com, I have a 2.5 to a half record against Magnus in Title Tuesdays. Yeah, Hammer was born in 1990. All right, so we have a move by Andrea. She played knight at d7. Okay, makes sense. The knight is headed to c5 to block the bishop, which is going here from putting pressure on the pawn on d6. All right. So let's see what white is going to do. In the meantime, Philip is still thinking. And, you know, also when your opponent's thinking, you're like, okay, well, go ahead. Take your time. I don't mind. Because that might come to haunt him later on. Now, 56 minutes is definitely still quite a bit of time on the clock. But you can't take like 20, 10-minute things for every move. Thank you, it's Fallout. Yeah, it's always a lot of fun to call the action in these tournaments. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Alexander Saida, she is a woman FIDE master. WFM. How do they determine who plays white or black? It's just a pairing that makes the pairing, it's a system that makes the pairings automatically. And generally speaking, if you've just played white, you get black in the next game. Because generally speaking, it's considered to be an advantage to play with the white pieces. So it would be unfair if somebody would play all of their games with white and somebody else would play all of their games with black. Levy did not get the GM norm. No. He was close, but he lost in round number 8, and after that, he had no chance anymore, but overall still a great performance by him. Does Kramnik? No. Also, keep in mind, it is only 3 games. If I had that score against Magnus over like 30 games, then he might be losing his mind. I don't think chess 960 will ever be the future of chess, because I think most people just prefer normal chess. So I don't see it becoming more popular than normal chess. I like chess 960 events. I wish there were more of them. But I don't see it overtaking regular chess, because I think a lot of people, some people, they might not like opening study, but a lot of people actually like it. So I think chess 960 will definitely be a thing, but I don't see it becoming bigger than normal chess. I don't think I've ever played them piano. How many matches do you have to play someone? I mean, even if you beat someone, that doesn't automatically mean that you're better than them. Like, you might have a similar rating, you might be a similar strength, but you might just have someone's number. You might have a really good score against someone, even though you are performing similarly against different opponents. Like, let's say you and a friend might be both rated around 2000. You're both at the same level, but for whatever reason, you always beat your friend. You just have his number. Or it could be the other way around. Maybe your friend always beats you. So even if you have a good score against someone, it doesn't automatically mean you're better than them. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Andrea up 30 minutes on the clock. Alexander at this point almost up half an hour on the clock. That's good stuff. Okay, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, Mickey. Like, your friend probably was better than you. He outrated you by 150 points, but you beat him every game. All right, anyway, Philip has moved, and he went for queenside castles. So we've discussed the pros and cons, and we said that, hey, if Philip wants to play aggressively, he will go queenside castles and go for the attack with f5 perhaps later on. So let's see now what Alexander is going to do. Keep in mind that all of these sacrifices on e6 are in the air. So you can maybe go knight c5 to really take the sting out of a sacrifice. I mean, knight a5 you can consider to try to go knight c4, attacking the bishop and the queen. But then you might be inviting some sort of sacrifice. So let's see what's going to happen. Anyway, what move would I play? I think knight c5 makes a lot of sense, moving the knight to a more active square and strengthening the e6 point, making sure that a sacrifice is not going to be as effective. Knight a5 also makes sense, followed by knight c4. All right. Yeah, chat all of a sudden became really fast. Bishop e4 is a move as well, but generally speaking, here's the thing. A lot of these pawns are placed on light squares. So because of that, the light square bishop of black is considered to be their bad bishop, whereas the dark square bishop is considered to be the good bishop. So you're not too eager to trade at this bishop for the knight, unless maybe you can force white to recapture with the pawn. But after bishop e4, then white can play something like a3, and in case white takes, white can recapture with the queen, and keep a healthy structure and get the bishop pair. Bishop a6 unfortunately hangs the knight over here. So I think something like knight c5 makes sense. Activating the knight. Again, knight a5 to c4 also makes sense, but I'm a little worried about something like this. Or maybe something like rook to c8. So let's see what's going to happen. In the meantime, Andrea's opponent has also moved. And he has played the move. Rook to d1. Okay, makes perfect sense. Activating the rook on the half-open file to put pressure on his pawn on d6. So now the move that makes sense is knight c5. I mean, that was the whole idea behind knight d7. redeveloping the knight, if you will, putting pressure on bishop, putting pressure on pawn, blocking this diagonal a little bit. And again, as you guys can see from the evil bar, it's giving black a hefty advantage. So, and that's really the extra pawn. It's giving black like a -1 advantage, which is just the extra pawn she has. So I think Andrea is doing very well on the board, especially. And Alexander doing well on the clock. She played knight a5. Interesting move. She wants to go knight c4, attack the queen, attack the bishop. And now I'm curious to see whether Philip will go for a sacrifice. Maybe bishop takes c6, maybe knight takes c6. All of those moves make sense. All right. Okay, so let's see what's going to happen. Okay, so knight takes c6 makes sense here. You're forced to take. Bishop takes c6 comes with a check. King h8. And then either bishop takes d5 or knight takes d5. It looks a little bit scary. Or bishop takes e6 right here. In that case, you can throw in knight c4. It's okay, if you take, there's takes. Let's say you move the queen, white takes here. Takes on d5. But Philip probably is going to take a wall again. He's probably going to look at bishop takes c6, knight takes c6, weigh the pros and cons. I do expect Philip to invest quite a bit of time here, especially because right now he's away from the board. So he's already losing some time right there. All right, so let's see what's going to happen. Hammer definitely is allowed to stream his games from the Norwegian Championship. So maybe he will. Maybe you guys can commentate his games. All right, so Philip is back at the board. Let's see what he's going to do. So knight takes c6 makes perfect sense. Bishop takes c6 as well. What's Hammer's channel? I think it's GMJLH. You would hate that. Well, anyway. Let's see what's going to happen. I don't really play too many other games, to be honest. Who is the advantage in Andrea's game? Definitely Andrea, I'd say. She's up a pawn, and I think white definitely does not have enough. Knight c5 makes perfect sense, has just been played, putting the knight on a good square. And now I expect Philip to play bishop c4, making sure that black cannot trade on d3 whenever she wants, activating the bishop a little bit, and activating the rook, putting pressure on the pawn on d6. All right, so let's see what's going to happen. Yeah, no, again, I do expect Philip to go for a think here. 15 minutes is definitely still a good chunk of time, but he cannot. It's going to be dangerous for him if he invests, let's say, another 10, 15 minutes. Then the time can evaporate quite quickly. I would argue the opposite. I would say that as a chess player, you need other activities. But other games, I don't know. I'd say, like, for chess players, it's definitely great to have a sport or a hobby to take your mind off chess and do something completely different. But often people that play video games play them for a long time, and then you're taking time away from other things. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. I kind of do expect Philip to go for something like knight takes c6 or bishop takes c6. Because he went queenside castle, so that has already shown that he has aggressive intentions. He can also consider something like f5 to try to chip away the pawn chains that way. So let's see what's going to happen. Yeah, I think definitely, like, a good physical hobby is good for chess. Yeah, like, for example, Magnus, he enjoys playing soccer, he enjoys playing basketball. All of those things are great. Yeah. Can I show why king takes e6 is a play? Well, king takes c6, unfortunately, is an illegal move. Knight takes c6 is a move. So you sacrifice the knight. So by doing so, you get 1 pawn. Then black takes, you get another pawn. So you already get 2 pawns, and then you get a 3rd pawn. You can take with the knight or the bishop. So you get 3 pawns, which is considered to be the equivalent of a minor piece. And you get a lot of activity in the center. Yeah, actually, I've played soccer a few times with Magnus. He always likes to play soccer on the rest days. So, for example, during Tata Steel, they would often organize a soccer match, and we played a few times. Actually, I played soccer, I think, with Magnus and with Hammer. Yeah, like Hammer, he would also often join for the soccer matches. Yeah. So I believe I've played soccer with both of them. Anyway. Let's see what's going to happen. I would not advise people to play the Smith-Morra Gambit at high-level classical games, because generally speaking with white, you want to get an advantage. But in the Smith-Morra Gambit, you take a serious risk. You might also get a worse position. So I wouldn't recommend it to a top player. Yeah, or, I mean, yeah, soccer, football, whatever you want to call it. I mean, the people from the US, they'll call it soccer. If you're from Europe or anywhere else in the world, your ears might be bleeding. You might be like, oh, no, it's not soccer, it's football. But then people in the US will like, football? I mean, no, that's the one where you throw the ball around. You don't play that with your foot, with your feet. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Knight c4 is Alexander's idea. She's up a lot of time on the clock. She's up like 32 minutes. I don't really like b3 here for white. I think then someone like bishop b4 looks pretty unpleasant, creating the pin. So I think Philip is going to go for a sacrifice, either knight takes c6 or bishop takes c6, one of those two. The English invented the term soccer. I thought they were very much against the term soccer. And they're like, no, it's not soccer, it's football. Oh, really? It came from the UK, and I guess it was adopted by the US. Interesting. Often in the US, they also call it like foodie, but maybe, yeah. Anyway. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay. Anyway. Philip in the tank. He's down to 45 minutes. Now, I think the time control for this event is 90 minutes for the first 40 moves, followed by half an hour and a 30-second increment. So right now he has 45 minutes, a good chunk of time. But he has to make another 28 moves before he gets more time on the clock. So I think it's definitely not impossible that Philip might end up in time pressure. Let's see what he's going to do. I have no idea, Jin Sensei, what's going to happen in Romania versus Slovakia. To be honest, I only really follow the Dutch team closely. So let's see what's going to happen. Andrea also doing well. She's up 15 minutes on the clock. Up a pawn on the board with a good position. Where am I from? I am from the Netherlands, yeah. All right. Okay, so knight c6 makes perfect sense. Let's see what's going to happen. I guess it's not set in stone, but I think a good chance that the Netherlands will play England, yeah. I said you can call it soccer or football. I'm not necessarily calling it soccer. Anyway, let's stay focused on the chat, on the chess. Not on. I will read the chat, but I'll stay focused on the chess if you guys don't mind. We have a move. it looks like, in Andrea's game. I think he played bishop to c2. It definitely looks like that. Yep, and that's the move he played. So dropping the bishop back, and again, opening up the rook to put pressure on pawn on d6. Now something like bishop b6 makes perfect sense, developing the bishop. I think he's going to go here, and then let's say queen c7. So white definitely has some play, but I really don't think it's enough. And black's up a pretty clean pawn. So I'm curious to see what Philip is going to do to try to get some compensation later on, because right now I'm not seeing it. Philip's still in the tank, down to 43 minutes. All right. Let's see what's going to happen. I'm doing well, dodge one. Dodge one, huh? Anyway, let's see what's gonna happen. In Alexander's game, only 12 moves have been played. So Philip definitely needs to speed up. He's down to 42 minutes. So that right now we're looking at approximately like 1.5 minutes a move to reach the time control. No, during a game you're not allowed to wear earplugs. I think back in the day maybe you were, but it was definitely kind of unusual. So yeah. So let's see what is going to happen. How quiet is it in a chess tournament room? Usually it's pretty quiet. I mean, people don't talk. You're not allowed to talk. I think back in the day, people didn't mind as much. But ever since, computers and phones, like computer engines and smartphones became such a big thing, it's just really not done to talk to someone else during a game, because they might just be like, knight of 6, You're like, oh, that's a good move. Let me go ahead and play that. So yeah, it's quiet. That's quiet. Some people, they like to wear earplugs to even block out that bit of noise there is. Lots of coughing. Sometimes. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Andrea in the tank. I would say something like bishop e6 or queen c7. Both of those moves look natural. I think you're not allowed to say check. You're not allowed to say check. You're not allowed to talk during the game. The only time you are allowed to talk during the game is when you offer a draw. And when you offer a draw, you have to do it on your time. So you make your move, and before you press the clock, you say, I offer draw. You cannot make a move, press the clock, and then as your opponent is thinking, you say, I offer a draw. Because then you are distracting him during his time. Another time when you can talk is when you adjust a piece. You may say, for example, adjust, or you can say j'adoube. J'adoube is the French thing. It also means I adjust. Yeah. Earbuds are legal. Wait. Maybe better clarify that. No, earbuds are legal, right? But not earplugs. Are those earbuds? Wait, I'm confused now. Oh no, wait. I guess you're right. Those are earbuds. Earbuds are illegal, but I guess earplugs. Earplugs are legal. No, definitely yes. You can put in earplugs to cancel out any noise. Yeah, they're just silencers. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thanks to Papa Botes for clarifying that in the chat. Yeah, earplugs are illegal. Some chess players like to do that to cancel out any noise, but earbuds definitely not. Yeah, I just had the translation wrong. Well, you see, you learn something every day. You can offer a draw anytime, pretty much, but not on your opponent's time. Then it is considered to be a distraction. All right. Anyway, so let's see. How frequently can you offer a draw? Can you offer a draw every single time it's your move? I honestly don't know a rule that forbids you from offering a draw on every single move, but I'm actually kind of curious. Let me see the FIDE handbook. Somebody asked in the chat, when do we really start to worry about Philip's time management? I mean, I assume that you guys are rooting for Alexandra. And in that case, I would not be worried, but I'll be more optimistic about his time management because he's getting down to 37 minutes in a complicated position, which is good for her. She's up 40 minutes on the clock. All right. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Yeah, 95 is definitely a very provocative move. Philip investing another like 15 minutes. That's what we were talking about. Like, definitely very risky as he's getting low on time. I think he does want to go for one of these sacrifices, like knight c6 or bishop c6. Makes perfect sense. Good question. Would I like, let's say black gets knight c4 in, would I then trade the knight for the bishop? I don't know. The knight on c4 will be pretty well placed, so I wouldn't be rushed to trade it. I wouldn't be rushed to trade it. All right. Andrea moved the queen to f6. Okay. All right. So queen f6 has been played. Good move. Bring the queen out, and making sure that bishop a3 doesn't threaten bishop takes c5. Like, let's say you play bishop e6, white goes here, and you go rook c8, then white can take. You cannot recapture, as that's going to hang your queen. So that's why she moves the queen out here. All right, so if here, now the drawback is that you cannot develop your bishop to e6, as that's going to hang the pawn over here. So maybe you play a rook d8 first. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Philip taking a lot of time. He's down to 35 minutes. I mean, I'd say, 35 minutes, he's definitely in potential time trouble. But if he's getting down to like 20 or so, that's where it's getting really tough for him. Because then, I mean, if you're down to 20 minutes, you can't really take, I mean, maybe you can take like one more 10-minute think, but that's it. So you can't really dive into the position too much anymore. I think, given the fact that he has invested so much time, he needs to go for some sort of sacrifice. They are getting 30 minutes after move 40. Yeah. Because if he just keeps the position as is, if he keeps the tension, the time advantage will definitely, or the time disadvantage will definitely come to bite him. So let's see what he's gonna do. Knight c5 also make perfect sense on the last turn to stop any of these sacrifices, but perhaps Alexander's not worried about them. And again, I'm sure that Philip is looking at them, and that's why he's spending so much time. Anyway, let's see what he's gonna do. Yeah, bishop takes c6, knight takes c6, both of those are moves. All right, congratulations. Somebody won their game. That's good stuff. Aha, apparently unreasonable draw offers are considered forbidden distraction by FIDE. Right, but then the question is, what is an unreasonable draw offer? I mean, maybe that's the arbiter's call. Right? And okay, the question is like, let's say you're down a queen, let's say you're up a queen and your opponent offers a draw. I mean, who cares? You're going to win the game anyway. But also, fun fact about draw offers is that you have to record it on your score sheet. So you have to write down, let's say, an equal sign. So most players do. Fun fact, also what I told you guys, a player wishing to offer a draw shall do so ever after having made a move on the chessboard and before stopping his or her clock and starting the opponent's clock. An offer at any other time during play is still valid, but article, okay, must be considered. In both cases, the offer cannot be withdrawn and remains valid until the opponent accepts it, rejects it orally, rejects it by touching a piece with the intention of moving or capturing, or the game is concluded in some other way. Aha, so interesting fact. If your opponent offers you a draw and you touch a piece, you're already declining his draw offer. Like if you touch a piece and you're like, uh-oh, that's a blunder, you cannot accept it anymore. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Philip's still in the tank. He's down to 31 minutes. He is playing with fire here. He's getting very low on time. He needs to move here. I mean, what do the chatters think? Do the chatters think he's more likely to go for bishop takes e6, knight takes c6, or another move? Well, let me think myself. What do I think is the most likely move, or perhaps the best move? Let's say he takes with the bishop. Okay, you can throw in this. Say queen e2, take, queen e8, let's say. Take, knight takes d5. Honestly, looks pretty promising. Aha, the piece that is touched must have a legal move too. Aha, interesting. Didn't know that. Yeah. Ah, yeah. I think that's yeah. Okay. Have I ever been to Poland? Great question. I actually was in Poland last year. And actually, yeah. Let's see what's gonna happen. Philip is still thinking. He's either gonna sacrifice the knight or the bishop on e6, I expect. I mean, b3, then like bishop b4 looks pretty promising. So I think he needs to go for something like that. I mean, I'm sure Philip is looking at it. I'm sure Philip is looking at it. Either knight takes c6 or bishop takes c6. Dominique, I don't know how. Well, let me have a look. Dominique is Philip is no. Dominique is 12 years old, and Philip. Let me look. Philip is born in 2006, so he's 18 years old. So both very young opponents. He's now down to 29 minutes. Again, 29 minutes is still, you know, quite a bit of time. I'm sure a lot of you guys are used to rapid and blitz games. That's more time than you start out with in those games. But, you know, he has to speed up. Because before this, on Queenside Castles, he spent 20 minutes, 23, 24. Now he's spending another like 25 minutes. He cannot do that again. If he spends another 25 minutes, he's down to 3 minutes on the clock. That's serious time pressure. So let's see what he's going to do. All right. The clock's updated in Andrea's game. Let me have a look. The clock should be updated. Both players, I know it, but Queen C6 was played. Yeah, Queen C6 was played. So in that case, let me think. Okay, Queen C6 was played, and White played Knight to D2 is my best guess. Let me have a look. Because the live boards are currently not updating. Knight D2. Okay, so Dominic wants to go Knight C4. and put pressure on the pawn on d6 that way. So there's a few things you can do about that. You can maybe go b6, then after knight c4, pin the knight with bishop a6. You can also go rook d8 to defend the pawn. Either way, I wouldn't be too worried. I like b6 so that you can meet this with bishop a6 and pin the knight. Looks pretty pleasant. So let's see what's going to happen. All right, and she has moved. She played queen g6. So queen g6 on the board. All right, so she's attacking the pawn on h3. Okay, so let's see what Dominic is going to do about it. Maybe queen f3 to defend. Makes a lot of sense. Queen e3 also makes sense. Either way, you just don't want to go knight here and hang the pawn, because then black will be up 2 pawns. That's probably going to be too much. So let's see what will happen. This is not the final round. This is the 6th round. 5 rounds have been played. Philip is in the lead with 5 points, and Alexander has 4.5. And Drea has 3.5, as Mr. Moobot is pointing out. So still many more rounds to play. Queen g6, yeah. Dominic is 12 years old. Rook f1 is a move for Philip, but then again, like if you invest that much time and you don't go for a sacrifice and you keep the tension, that looks a little risky. I mean, from a practical perspective, just the time situation. The different opens, they're playing in the B group. Is there a rest day in this tournament? I don't believe so. Usually tournaments only have a rest day when it's like a tournament for top players like Magnus, Hikaru, Fabiano. Because hosting a tournament can be expensive, right? You have to get a tournament location. You pay for every day. And then to have you might get a deal with the, let's say it's in a city hall. You might make a deal with the city hall that you can have their place for that long, for like 10 days in a row. So then having one free day in the middle doesn't make as much sense. And as we speak, Philip played bishop takes e6. As we said, we kind of expected a sacrifice. However, the computer does not like this one. So let's see what Alexandra is going to do. She has 2 options here. She can take the bishop right away or throw in the move knight c4, attacking the queen and the bishop first. I think this one definitely makes some sense. Right, FIDE organized tournaments have a rest day, but also have a double round day. Yes, that's very often the case. Like very often at, let's say, World Youth and World Youth Championships, there's very often a double round, but also a rest day. Yep. All right. So let's see. But I'd say in a regular tournament like this, it's unusual. It's unusual. Can you eat during a match? Yes, absolutely. Because chess games, as you guys can see, can take a long time. So you want to stay energized during the round. But it is considered to be impolite to eat at the board. Usually, usually you should stand up from the board and then eat, especially if it's your opponent's move. Like let's say your opponent's move, he's thinking, and then you start eating, I don't know, something that very crunchy that might definitely distract the opponent. Yeah, bag of chips, for example. What if you have stockfish in the peanut you just ate? Hey, that's not a good idea. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Alexander's thinking. I don't hear any beep. No. Have some Pringles and offer the opponent one too. Absolutely. Yeah. You eat stockfish at the board. Nice, nice. All right. Okay, let's see what's going to happen. What kind of preparation does a GM like me and Hammer focus on right before a tournament? I mean, most of it is just opening preparation, right? So, for example, Hammer, for the Norwegian Championship, I mean, let's say it's a close tournament. There might be, let's say, 10 players in a tournament. it's called a round robin where everyone plays everyone. Then he's just looking like, hey, if I play this player with the white pieces, what is his usual black opening? And what do I want to do against that? So that is how players prepare. Right? And, you know, same you might see like, hey, let's say I have the black pieces and I play against this player. What is his usual white opening? What do I want to do against that? So first of all, you want to make a decision as to what you want to play. And then second of all, you should analyze. You should check many different moves. Like, hey, let's look at this move. Let's look at that move. You want to be ready for as many different moves as possible so that you basically can play, you can basically have the computer, so to speak, play for you against your opponent. But of course, you want to do that before the game. You can't console the computer during the round. I don't think Hikaru has the best preparation. Hikaru definitely has good preparation because he's got a good team of seconds. But there's definitely players who have better preparation because Hikaru, he doesn't work on chess openings all the time. Most of the time, he is busy streaming. Whereas many of these other top players, they're working 8 hours a day on chess openings. Is there a player I consider impossible to prepare against? Not really. In the meantime, we have a move. Alexandra played, I think, is that bishop to b4? That's kind of what it looks like. Let's see. So she's declining the sacrifice because knight is still on a5. So knight c4 was not played. It looks like bishop b4, pinning the knight on c3. Okay, so the bishop is still under attack. He can take the knight. So her idea is that in case he moves the bishop, she wants to go knight c4, attack the queen. And as the queen moves, then maybe take here and force him to recapture the pawn. But he can take over here and keep an extra pawn with a healthy position. So let's see what's going to happen. At least Alexandra is keeping a big lead on the clock. She's up 15 minutes, 5-0. And Philip down to 25 minutes. He doesn't have that much time. He cannot take on d5. As she can take, and the knight is pinned to the queen. So I think taking the knight on d7 seems like a pretty safe option for now. Who's the most underrated chess player, in my opinion? I don't know. I'll leave that up to the chat. My next chess tournament is going to be the Dutch Championship, early July. I've actually never been a second, so I actually don't have any experience with that role. I mean, I've certainly helped friends a little bit prepare, but not like, you know, a full-time second job. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. In the meantime, Dominique is thinking as well. He's down to 42 minutes against an hour for Andrea. So let's see what's going to happen. So let's see. He has to make a decision. I don't think he's going to leave his bishop hanging for too long. I think he's probably going to take the knight on d7. He can also move the bishop back, but then probably knight c4 will come. And that's going to be a little bit annoying. So again, I think he's probably going to take the knight. Black recaptures, and then maybe a3 to get rid of this annoying pin. That's the move I expect. Take an a3. Because you don't want to give black the time to go knight c4, rook here. That being said, after takes a3, there is, let's say, knight c4, queen e3, and then something. I don't think this works. Maybe you take, maybe move the bishop back. I mean, the evil bar is giving white an advantage. I think that's definitely the case. But the main thing Alexandra got going for herself here is the fact that she's up a lot of time. I mean, 52 minutes. And keep in mind that Philip needs to make another 27 moves to get the additional 30 minutes on the clock. She can also play knight c4, a nice intermezzo in case he takes on d7. That's an option as well. Anyway, Dominic has moved in the meantime. He played king to h1. So making sure that black cannot go bishop takes h3, as now the g-pawn is no longer pinned. So let's see what's going to happen here. I mean, f5 is maybe a move to try to activate the bishop and the rook. Still b6 makes a lot of sense, so that you can meet knight c4 with bishop a6, pinning the knight. That's a move I really like. I mean, bishop b6, knight c4 will be a little bit annoying. I think f5 might run into knight f4. Sorry, knight c4. I'm not very sure about that one, but again, to me, b6, knight c4, bishop a6 looks pretty good for black. So let's see what's going to happen. Anyway, Andrea also, by the way, up 20 minutes on the clock. So I think she's having the best chances right now because she has an advantage both on the clock and on the board. For Alexander, she has a big edge on the clock, but on the board it seems that Philip is ahead. But you know, if he gets into time pressure, he might ruin it all. That can happen. Dominic is 12 years old and Philip is 18 years old. It's a good question, Leak. I don't think it's necessarily super important for your chess, but it's definitely important for your health, right? Because you spend a lot of time sitting at the board. So as you pointed out, you want to make sure that you have good posture. Anyway, we have a move by Andrea. She played rook to d8. Makes perfect sense. Making sure the d6 pawn is defended. I guess now knight c4 will be played. And then she can choose what she wants to do. Maybe b6 followed by here. It's called a rook, not a tower. What move are we on in Alexander's game? 13 moves have been played. So again, Philip he's playing with fire here. He's getting pretty low on time. He definitely needs to speed up. And again, I think he's just going to take on d7 and then play a move like a3. He does take on d7, the move we expected. And now I do expect Alexander to just recapture with the queen. Again, you can play knight c4, nice intermezzo, but I think you just recapture, and that's what she does. All right, so now it's Philip's move. He took a long time for bishop takes d7. So I'm sure he has some sort of follow-up in mind after queen takes. Maybe a3 to try to break the pin quickly. Maybe queen d3, because then you can move the knight. I think, judging from his body language, he's reaching for the queen. I think he's going to go for this one. So then your knight is no longer pinned. So then after, let's say, rook c8, you can just move it. Why doesn't the computer like black's position? For the simple reason that black is down a pawn. And, you know, if you're down a pawn and you don't have sufficient compensation, then computer usually gives the advantage to the opponent. How many left-handed GMs are there? Good question. I don't know. I mean, I would just do the math. I would say, like, hey, how many left-handed people are there in general? Let's see. How many people are left-handed? Approximately 10%. Okay, approximately 10%. How many chess grandmasters are there? There's like 2,000 chess grandmasters, so I'd say there's approximately 200 left-handed chess GMs. All right, so Philip has moved. He played queen to d3. Makes a lot of sense, unpinning the knight on c3. All right, only 2,000 GMs, yeah. All right, so let's see what's going to happen. I guess either rook to c8 or knight c4. Again, I don't think black has quite enough here, but she has a big lead on the clock. The big question is, though, is how are you going to complicate the position? Because it would be great to give Philip some problems to solve that will not be easy to solve given the time that he has little time on the clock. Wow, apparently 17.9% are left-handed. Interesting. All right, anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Dominic has moved as well. He played bishop to a3. Makes perfect sense, developing bishop, putting pressure on the knight. Maybe b6 here, maybe bishop b6. I mean, again, this makes sense. Let's see what's going to happen. I definitely don't think Dominic has enough here. All right. Okay, so let's see. I mean, no moves have been played. I mean, everyone is still thinking, both Alexander and Andrea. So again, Alexander up a lot of time, 54 minutes. So let's see what she's gonna do. Yeah, she can take her time now as well, but it will be nice to keep the pressure on Philip, both on the board and on the clock, because as we see, Philip is at the board. And so if Alexandra is thinking, she's giving him the opportunity to think on her time. So you have to manage it correctly though, because on one hand, what often happens when somebody gets low on time is that their opponent starts blitzing along, but then they make mistakes as well. So I think it's good on one hand to blitz along, but to take your time on critical moments, right? Because again, like I said, if you blitz along, then you don't allow them to think on your time. But of course, on certain critical junctures, you have to take your time to find the best moves, because the best move will put the most pressure on your opponent, not a fast move. So let's see what's going to happen. How did Alexander lose the pawn? Well, at some point, Philip sacrificed his bishop on e6, and she didn't take it. So that's how she lost the pawn. Is there a GM known for playing quickly? Yeah, I mean, for example, Jan Pomniachtchi, he plays very quickly, and he's definitely well known for that. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Vishy also definitely in his younger years, yeah, also played very quickly. All right, knight c4 makes perfect sense. Rook to c8. I don't know what Philip's online rating is. I mean, I can have a look for you guys if I can find him. Let's see. Does he play on chess.com? Let's have a look. So his name. I can't find him on chess.com, so I don't know. I can see if Dominic has an account. Dominic has an account on chess.com. His account is less than 2 years old. Let's have a look. Dominic. Well, it's probably not the same Dominic. Dominic in 2023 was rated 154. So it's probably not the same player, unless he got better very quickly. But probably not the same player. Anyway. Dominic Vasiluk, yeah. Quite a run for Dominic, exactly. All right, anyway, we have a move. Alexandra played, it looks like queen to c8. Okay, so she goes queen c8, putting pressure on the knight, and she wants to go bishop a6, activating the bishop and putting pressure on the queen. So let's see what Philip is going to do. He can, of course, always place a knight on b5 to block off this diagonal. Again, maybe something like a3, forcing the bishop to make a decision. Let's see what's going to happen. I mean, again, objectively, Philip definitely has the advantage here, but he's getting low on time. 20 minutes is not a lot, and he needs to make another 25 moves to reach the time control. How can you apply for FIDE rating? By playing in a FIDE tournament, then usually automatically you'll get a FIDE rating. She moved the queen here so she can go bishop a6 to target the queen. Because right now her worst minor piece is the bishop on b7. That's why she wants to activate it with bishop to a6. So makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Let's see what's going to happen. I mean, the good thing, but also a bad thing for Philip, is that he has a lot of options. Usually when you have one move, you play it quickly, right? But when you have a lot of options, you might be like, well, hey, this move looks good, but also this move looks good. And that's when you can spend a lot of time. And that's basically the main thing Alexander is banking on right now, that her opponent will get into time pressure and will blunder later on. All right, anyway, we have Andrea also in the tank. She's up 15 minutes on the clock. Everything looking pretty good. Hello, Dirkje. Yes, good to see you. I've been here for 2 weeks. And it's good to be back. Clock is delayed, yeah, but I'm sure it will catch up quickly. All right, anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Yeah, I mean, most players say like, oh, I struggle in the middle game. Well, I've got news for you. Everyone struggles in the middle game because the middle game, just by definition, is the most complicated part of the game. Because the opening, you either know or you don't. The end game is usually rather simplified. And so the most difficult moment of the game is the middle game. Because there's a lot of pieces on the board, a lot of tension, a lot to calculate, a lot of different plans and ideas. So that's where you will see players make the most mistakes. Anyway, Philip is still thinking. He's getting down to 17 minutes, as far as I can see, which again is not a whole lot of time. He has less than a minute per move. Queen f5 would offer a queen trade, but it would allow black to get the pawn back. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. My next tournament is going to be the Dutch Championship in early July. Thank you, Derek. Appreciate it. Anyway, we have a move by Philip. I think he played pawn 2. No, did he? He played something. He played bishop to d2. Bishop to d2, adding some support to the knight on c3. Okay, so let's see. Will bishop a6 be played attacking the queen? I guess now the queen can move over to a square like f3. And then all of a sudden the pawn on d5 is pretty weak, as he's attacking it multiple times, and then it won't be defended as much. Alexandra played knight to c4, activating the knight, putting pressure on the bishop. Okay, so she's definitely keeping up the pressure on the clock. Why is Alexandra playing versus rank 1? Because she is tied for second place. That's how chess pairings work. All right, so Philip reaching for a piece already. Let's see. Maybe he's going to go like king b1. Let's see what he's going to do. Moment of truth. Philip is accelerating a little bit. He goes bishop to e1. Okay, makes sense. Making sure that she cannot take the knight, take the bishop with the knight. Because again, bishop a6. I mean, you have to calculate this, but also there's queen f3. So I don't know. Definitely not an easy position. Yeah, that's what I said. That I found Dominic Vasiluk on chess.com, but I don't think it's the same player. Or he improved a lot in a short time span. My day's been going pretty well so far. Anyway, let's see what's going on. Philip, by the way, Philip down to 16 minutes and 47 seconds. He is picking up the pace, but, you know, he has to watch out. He might get into time pressure very soon. And Andrea up 10 minutes on the clock. So the time situation is both on good boards, but Alexandra, she is down a pawn. I'm a better rapper than Hammer. I have not rapped. I don't know if I will rap. Yeah, so Tyler won. I haven't seen him play chess in a while, but it's definitely very impressive that he reached 1900s. It's honestly a pity that he hasn't played more. Anyway, yeah, bishop b1 has been played. Okay, so let's see. Maybe like bishop a6, targeting the queen. I mean, at some point, you also want to include the rooks. All right. Let's see what's going to happen. He might have another account. He might have an anonymous account. Yeah. How old is Dominic? Dominic is 12 years old. Philip is 18 years old. I mean, Dominic is born in 2012 and Philip born in 2006. So I might be off by a year, but just to give you guys an idea. Hammer got pissed at Chad yesterday and had to pull books out to scold us. Why would he get mad at you guys? I never get mad. Maybe Chad was saying like, this is a draw. And he is saying, it is not a draw. This isn't Dvoretsky. Let me lecture you guys. All right, we have a move. Andrea played, I think, pawn to b6. A move we've discussed on different junctures, at least as far as I can see. To bring the bishop out to a6 makes perfect sense. So now the knight on c4 can be pinned. I think a good way to activate the bishop, because again, you discourage the knight from jumping here. All right. Yeah, b6 has been played. Alexander's still in the tank. So let's see what's going to happen. You told him it was a draw 2.5 hours before. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. I mean, maybe what happened is that maybe at one point it was a draw, but it was very difficult to hold it. And maybe the chat was saying like, oh, this is an easy draw. And he is like, it is absolutely not. This might be a draw with perfect play, but it's very difficult to find. Maybe something like that happened. Who knows? Anyway, let's see what Alexander is going to do. B6, nice move by Andrea. Now, Alexander definitely has compensation here for the pawn, but it's not easy to continue. There were rooks involved. I think overall it's good to play quickly, because then you see what your intuition tells you. And if you make a mistake, you know, at least you know where intuitively you're making mistakes, and so you can adjust them. However, maybe she should have taken a little bit longer after the bishop sacrifice. Because, okay, if you don't take it, you are just down a pawn. So I understand that accepting the sacrifice looked scary, but maybe she had to invest a little bit more time in that. Anyway. It was a rook and 2 pawns versus rook. Yeah. All right. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. No, there was a possibility for a famous draw fortress, but it was so advanced that Hammer couldn't figure it out and had to. He got 3 books to look for it. Wow. I'm reading the Twitch chat, but if you guys want, I can also pull up the YouTube chat. Because the great thing is that these days, you can stream on Twitch and YouTube at the same time. For a long time, you couldn't. So it is great that these days you can. So let's have a look. Okay, anyway. What is the chat saying? Do you lose feeder rating if you don't play for too long? No, you don't. Okay, chat. You don't lose rating for being inactive. However, you will get you will be marked as inactive. And so you're not ranked in the world ranking. The substitute teacher doesn't usually get mad. I never get mad. Bach looks cute today, thank you. Hi, Ben, if you're looking here. Hello, Richie. Anyway. Hello, Mr. Gobbleton in the YouTube chat. Good to see you. Anyway. Okay. What move is Alexander on? Philip has made 17 moves. And so now it's Alexander's 18 moves, but she has moved. She played rook to d8. Okay, makes sense. Adding some support to the d5 pawn. Keeping the time pressure on Philip. It was down to 16 minutes. So let's see what he's going to do. Hello, W. Good to see you. Yeah, big time advantage. up 15 minutes, 5-0 on the clock, as you guys can see. Philip needs to make another 23 moves to reach time control. Yeah, 23 moves. Hello, TG Heezy. Good to see you. I'm pretty sure Dominic knows it's his move. He's thinking. So let's see what he's gonna do. Yeah, she wants to go bishop a6 without hanging this pawn over here. But even if you go bishop a6, like white is gonna move the queen over, and it's not clear what happens after. It's definitely not an easy position, Gambler's Fallacy. So I think Philip might get into time pressure, and we'll see how he will handle that. I've played against Magnus once at the World Rapid Championship in 2016, and I lost that game. And we've played a few games in Title Tuesday. We played 3 games in Title Tuesday. I never get mad. You haven't spent much time with this chat yet. Hey, I just don't get mad. Good question, Leak. I mean, there's a famous saying. It goes like, there's no heroes in time pressure. Like, everyone makes mistakes. Hammer used to be a happy fellow. How tall am I? I'm like 7'2", I think, in like inches and feet. Of course, Dominic knows it's his turn. He's at the board, he's thinking. Exactly. Why let words get you mad? Exactly. Yep. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Yeah, no, 7-2. Yeah. All right. Philip's still in the tank. He's down to 13.5 minutes. Let's see what he's going to do. All right. Dominic thinking as well. He's down to 31 minutes. I think especially Andrea's got a great chance to win because she's up 17 minutes on the clock, up a pawn on the board. Alexandra, I mean, she's down a pawn, but 12 minutes is really not a whole lot of time in this position. Yes, the criteria for a gem is the same for men and women. Yep. No, it's less than 1.3 minutes per move. I mean, maybe if you add in the increment, I don't know what the maths out to be. I guess if you add in the increment, yeah. Okay, so Philip played a rook to g1. Wow. That's quite a mysterious move to me. I don't know really what it does, but it also doesn't give black like an easy opportunity to do something. The tournament is 9 rounds. Indeed, Dirkje. 7-2 is the most impressive thing I've heard today. Thank you. How many moves have been played on each board? So in Alexander's board, 18 moves have been played as white, and Alexander's played 17 moves. And on Andrea's board, 18 moves have been made by both sides. So both sides are around 18 moves. Yeah, Andrea now up 20 minutes on the clock, so things are looking very good over there. Let's see what Alexander is going to do. And again, if you go here, white just moves the queen here. And I don't see an easy follow-up. Maybe like queen c5 at some point, pinning the knight to the rook makes some sense, because then you can also bring in the other rook. Okay, somebody is saying queen c5, bishop takes c6, queen h6 check. That's a great line. I think that's a great line. No, wait, sorry. The first move was queen c4. Queen c4, bishop takes c6, and then queen h6 check. Great move, yeah. Anyway. All right. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Yeah, queen c5 might run into knight a4, attacking the queen and the bishop. You still have queen e7, but given the fact that you're down a pawn, I don't know if you wanna trade pieces. Again, maybe you go like bishop here, queen here. I think eventually you do want to move rook to c8 to try to do something. So let's see how she will go about doing so. I don't know. I don't know how Dominic's path has up to this round. What's Dominic doing? Taking his time. He's down to 20 minutes. Okay, to be fair, a5, a4, also an idea. But the drawback if you go a5 is that white can put a knight on b5, and then you can no longer kick that knight away with the pawn. Like you create an outpost for white. So let's see what's going to happen. Have I ever played Hammer in a tournament? Yes. We played, I believe, 2 games. We played once in the European Championship in 2011, and we once played it at a tournament in London in 2013. One game was a draw, and Hammer won the other game. And I don't think I'm forgetting any games. I think those are the 2 times we played in classical chess, classical over-the-board chess. I'm not 185. Anyway. Okay, anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Have I ever been in Spain? Yes, I think only once, though. I was in Spain when I was 14. I played some tournaments there. How are the sisters doing? Andrea doing very well, up on time, also up a pawn. So she's got great chances. Alexandra, she is down a pawn, and she doesn't quite have enough compensation, but she's up a lot of time on the clock. She's up 50 minutes, 5-0. No, I'm not 172. No. I've never been to Portugal. No. Bishop a6 definitely makes some sense to eye the queen, and then I think the queen has to move to f3. Are you allowed to drink alcohol at these events? I don't know what the FIDE rules stipulate, but generally speaking, I don't think you're allowed to drink alcohol at the board. Whereas Hammer's preparing for the Norwegian Championship. How many moves until Philip reaches move 40? 22 moves. We got a question in the chat, which might seem like a joke. Somebody asked, can you smoke? Now, you can, but back in the day, you actually could. Back in the day, you actually could. And it used to be a thing. Like some players, they would smoke at the board and then blow smoke in the opponent's face. Believe it or not. Yeah, that's some disrespect. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. We have a move by Alexandra. She played bishop back to f8. Okay. So she moved the bishop back. All right. Now, the thing for Philip is that he's up a pawn, but it's not like he can easily or quickly win this position. So the tension, remains, and he is getting low on time. He's already dropping below 12 minutes. So he really has to speed up. He needs to make his moves quickly. So let's see what he's going to do. All right, I feel like Philip is already reaching for a piece. He probably wants to accelerate a little bit. Given the fact that he played rook g1, maybe g4 is what he's looking at. And he goes bishop f2. Bishop f2 on the board makes a lot of sense. All right, let's see what Alexander is going to do. Maybe bishop a6, maybe a5. I guess just like push over here. And Philip stands up from the board with 11 minutes on his clock. So what you do now is you sit there, you wait for him to leave the tournament hall, and then you quickly play a move. So his clock starts ticking. And yeah, he gets even lower on time. I think it's a good strategy. I mean, he's got 11 minutes. He can use every minute. If you move now, he might lose like 2 minutes to get back at the board. That's not considered to be bad mannered. No, chess is a sport. If you don't want to lose time, then don't set up from the board. So let's see what she's going to do. Exactly, yeah. That being said, it's not easy for Black to come up with an easy move here to put pressure on him. But yeah, I'd say it's not a bad idea to play something here, get his clock ticking as he's away from the board. She still has a big advantage on the clock, just under an hour against 11 minutes. Let's see what she will come up with. She can also, let's say, move the queen, then move the rook, that makes sense, or maybe something like a5, followed by a4, bishop a6. All of those moves make sense. Again, I think this is going to be met with queen f3. I'm not a big fan of this one. Maybe here. Maybe here, followed by here. How much time do you think he could be back if the game speeds up? I don't know. Well, with every move, he's gaining 30 seconds on the clock. So it's not like those 11 minutes is all he has. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Yes, I plan on playing in the Dutch Championship. All right. All right, and yeah, a6 has been played. Okay, I think a good move. Preparing b5. I think just the most important thing is that a move was played while Philip was away from the board. As we'll see, he's taking some time to get back. Like his clock is ticking. And, you know, ideally, she would have, let's say, played it right away. Oh, he's already getting back. So I guess he was just standing up. I guess he wasn't too far. All right, let's see. So she just wants to go b5, maybe b4 after. It's not going to be that easy to do much with Black, but okay, just try something. Keep the pressure on your opponent as he's getting low on time. So 11 minutes for Philip. Let's see what he's going to do. In the meantime, Dominic moved. No, he hasn't. Dominic's still thinking. Dominic getting pretty low on time as well. He's got 20 minutes for another 22 moves. Geary is not playing, no. Thank you. Appreciate it. It's always a lot of fun to commentate, whether it's classical or blitz or bullet chess. All right, so Philip is already dropping below 10 minutes. That's a good thing. Okay, so let's see what he's going to do. Again, I think given the fact that Alex is up so much time on the clock, she definitely has chances. I mean, I think Dominic knows it's his move, but he doesn't seem that focused. Philip needs to make another. Well, now he played Queen f5, another 20 moves before he gets additional time. Okay, so Queen f5, he's offering the queen trade. I think from a practical perspective, you want to keep the queens on the board because that's going to keep the position more complicated. Whereas if he gets the queens off, then it will be easier to navigate for him with little time. So, but I don't know. If you go, let's say Queen c7, then maybe you run into something like e6. Queen c5 might be a move as well. But then again, maybe e6. I mean, if you can make something like Queen c5 work, followed by Queen here, also you throw in stuff like this, I think this is definitely the move you want to play. Keeping the position as complicated as possible as your opponent is getting low on time. So I'd say definitely don't trade, because then, again, it's going to be so much easier for white to play, and then the time advantage won't count for as much. Are there referees? What do? They hand out yellow and red cards. Illegal move, yellow card. Second illegal move, red card. On a serious note, if you make 2 illegal moves, you do lose the game. So it actually is a thing. And, you know, if you make a violation, then they can give you a warning. Smoke face, blow smoke in someone's face, red card. Yeah. What is considered an illegal move? Well, just a move that's not possible, right? So let's say queen to b4. It's a move I'd like to make, putting my queen there, but it's illegal. But that's an illegal move. Do they use VAR for a legal move? They don't. They don't. Anyway, a move has been played. Queen c7 has been played. Okay. Good move. Keeping the queens on the board. I liked Queen c5 a little bit better, a little bit more active, trying to go to the b4 square. All right. Let's see. Maybe now e6 for Philip. Makes sense to try to open up the position. Have I ever played offside in a game? It happens all the time. Happens all the time. It's so annoying. I think like, oh, I'm going to win this game. And then, you know, you see the referee offside. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, no, I'd say like being up on time is a form of compensation. Yeah. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Dominic down to like 9 or 8 minutes. Really not a whole lot of time in this position. Which, do I play football? I like, well, depends if you mean football or soccer. I have played a little bit of football though, like throwing the ball around. Okay, but I understand, like some people, they might call American football, they might call it football. Anyway, to answer your questions, I like playing European football. Yeah. It's also my favorite sport to watch, so it's great that right now there's the Euro. And I have played a little bit of American football, but it's not really my thing. It doesn't come intuitive to me how you have to throw the ball. Well, I guess I know a little bit now that you have to spin it. Like you have to hold it in the middle and then spin it as you throw it. Are the Dutch still in it? Absolutely. We lost yesterday, but we move on to the round of 16. Yeah, they're through. They're through to the next round. All right. Anyway, I don't DJ. I don't DJ. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Philip is taking a lot of time. He is down to, what is it? 6 minutes. Oh no, he moved. He played e6. He played e6 and Alex played f6, keeping the position closed on the king side. But now Philip is in the tank, and he is down to, I think, 6 minutes and 40 seconds. Maybe that's a 5. I can't tell. Who do I think is the favorite to win the Euros at the moment? Great question. I honestly don't know. Maybe Spain. Maybe Spain. Seems like they have a pretty good team. Like, I don't know. I thought the Netherlands had a chance, but after yesterday, I'm not that optimistic anymore. Where should Dominic move? I don't know. I don't know, but he's taking a long time. He's down to 13 minutes. He needs to speed up. Let's see what he's going to do. In the meantime, Philip is also taking a lot of time. He might be looking for something decisive, which I don't think it exists quite yet. He's got a good position. I think he just needs to keep playing move. Now, one thing you have to watch out for, maybe one thing Alexander can consider, like let's say White makes a random move. Maybe what you can do, maybe it's, I don't know if it's crazy, but maybe something like knight takes b2. Look at this. So you sacrifice the knight, White takes, and then you sacrifice the bishop. White takes, but you take the knight. And all of a sudden, this king over here is very stuck. White can go knight b3 to block. Because if you go king a4, this is leading to checkmate. This is not good. So let's say knight b3. And now with the king over here, maybe you can try b5 with the idea to go b4 and lock in this king. I guess there's still a defense, but it's not like White is completely winning here. I mean, the computer is giving White an advantage, but it's not anything too decisive. So definitely something Black can consider. In the meantime, he has played knight b3. So he's taking the sting out of this sacrifice. Because if you sacrifice now and go bishop a3, White can take, and this no longer comes with a check. So maybe that's why he played knight b3. All right, so now maybe something like rook c8, bring the rook into the game, maybe b5. Let's see what's going to happen. Again, she's definitely in this game, given the fact that Philip has, what is it? Is that 7 minutes on his clock? It's really not a whole lot of time. In the meantime, Dominic is just not moving. He's just not moving. You guys might be right. Maybe he doesn't know it's his move. I mean, I'm sure he knows, because you just, like, of course you know during the game of chess, but it's kind of weird. And he's got 11 minutes, and he's been thinking for like half an hour or so. Chad is thinking they don't. Chad thinks he doesn't know. Interesting. All right. In the meantime, by the way, Philip is he has 7 minutes on his clock. Okay, not a whole lot of time, but no critical time pressure. I mean, it's not down to 30 seconds. You know, it still has a few minutes on his clock, but it's not a whole lot. So if Alexander can complicate the position, keep the pressure on him, she's got a good chance to win. Okay. But yeah, maybe he likes blitz chess. Maybe he wants the adrenaline. Okay, so Dominic probably realizes he needs to make a move. I mean, it's not easy to come up with a good move here, because he's developed all of his pieces. Like knight c4 runs into bishop a6. So it's not easy to come up with a good plan. But of course, at some point you have to make a move, keep the game going, because the more time he spends, the more he's worsening his chances. So let's see what he's going to do. All right, maybe for Alexander, a move like rook c8, setting up this sacrifice again with knight takes b2. On Alexander's board, 22 moves have been made by White and 21 by Alexander. So let's see what's going to happen. I said Alexandra. What does Andrea score so far? She's on 3.5 points out of 5 games. Well, Alexander is on 4.5 points out of 5 games. Okay. Yeah, they're up a lot of time. They're up a lot of time. What's the engine move for Alexandra? I honestly don't know. I'm looking without the engine here, trying to use my own brain. But okay, so let's think. With the move knight b3, he is attacking the pawn on d5. So that is definitely something you have to look at. So let's have a look. So let's say you go rook c8, white takes, you take, white takes, you take, white takes, and then maybe move like knight e3. Knight e3, because you tag the queen and you attack this. And if the queen moves back, you can take, white takes, you take, king b1, rook takes f2. That looks like a good line. I think you can just go rook c8 and sacrifice the pawn. Yep. All right. In the meantime, Dominic still has not moved. He is down to 7 minutes as well. Yeah, I don't know. It's really a little bit confusing about Dominic that he's not focused, but anyway. Let's see what he's gonna do. Dominic's still thinking. Down to 7 minutes. Both their opponents are down to 7 minutes, with Alexander having a little bit more time. Okay, he's reaching for a piece. And he's going. That could be a thing. Maybe he's more nervous, knowing that he if he knows the game is streamed. Okay, he goes knight to b3. All right, so challenging the knight on c5. Okay, let's see. Maybe now again, bishop a6, attacking the queen. Makes a lot of sense. Let's see what's gonna happen. Yeah, looks pretty normal. Bring the bishop out. Can also still develop it here. But a move has been made. However, right now he's really low on time. He's down to 6 minutes and 50 seconds for now. He needs to make another 21 moves to reach the time control. So it's very likely that he's going to end up in time pressure. So let's see how he's going to deal with that. All right. And Dominic has stood up from the board. So maybe same thing for Andrea. Maybe she just needs to make a move and get his clock ticking as he's away. I'd say bishop b6 is a good move, bishop a6 as well. Both of those moves look good. All right, in the meantime, Alexandra is still thinking. I'm sure she's looking at this move rook ac8. Because, okay, you don't really want to play a passive move to defend this pawn on d5. You want to keep playing actively. So I think this move makes perfect sense. Okay. Still, both Alexandra and Andrea are thinking. So let's see what they will come up with. Somebody is asking in the chat, what is my elo? I'm not a GM, right? There's GM like right underneath. The disrespect. The disrespect. I read the YouTube chat and someone's asking like, hey, you're not a GM, right? Like, but it's a good question. Maybe somebody is I guess yeah, maybe they agreed. Maybe players are agreeing before the tournament that they can be streamed, broadcasted. Anyway, let's see what's gonna happen. All right. I don't know. They probably didn't have it in the regulations, but I think the tournament organizers, of course, they like exposure. And of course, having two of the biggest content creators stream their tournament is great for them. So I don't think, let's say, somebody can deny them to stream the games. Yeah. I don't think it's unfair. I don't think it's unfair. I understand it might be perhaps a little uncomfortable, like it might be unusual, but on the other hand, it is something you kind of have to deal with in a way. Oh, really? Anna. Okay. I mean, not everything needs to be content nowadays. I mean, you don't have to stream, but it is their job, right? I mean, they're content creators. Alexander does not have a free pawn on b2 because white can take. Exactly, yeah. Like, of course, for the tournament, it's great exposure. I don't know, Leak. Anyway, let's see what's gonna happen. Okay. All right. So okay, Alexander did play a rook c8, good move. Threatening knight takes b2, which is why Philip played bishop to d4, strengthening the knight on c3. But right now, he's not putting as much pressure on the pawn on d5. Okay, so let's see what Alexander will do here. Maybe like bishop b4, putting more pressure on the knight. b5, b4 also makes sense. All right, if she can complicate the game, she definitely has chances here because she has a 40-minute advantage on the clock. Not as much as before, but still quite a hefty advantage. Philip definitely is accelerating here. Yeah, but still 7 minutes. If your opponent is asking tough questions, this is not easy. Okay, in the meantime, Dominic, he has decided to sit on his knees at the board. Like he's sitting on his not sitting in the usual way, it looks like. Andrea has played bishop to a6. Attacking the queen on e2. So I guess queen e3 looks very logical here. And then maybe like rook c8 or something. Again, white really does not have enough compensation. And that is the big risk you take by playing a gambit. Right? So you might get some activity in the beginning, but if your opponent plays well, then you might not get enough compensation in the long run. All right. Is that how XUC is setting? Okay, good to know. Anyway, let's see what's going on. Dominic is 12 years old, or maybe 11. I don't know. He's born in 2012, depending on whether he had a birthday yet. Good question, Xatrix. Good question. I mean, I would say, given the fact that Alexander's up so much time, her chances really are not bad. I like bishop e4, activating bishop. Okay, so we have a move. Dominic played queen to f3. So stepping the queen out of the way. All right, now let's see. Maybe rook c8, maybe like knight a4, although knight a4 is a little risky. So I'd say maybe just rook c8, bring the rook into the game. Again, black has a very good position. Up a pawn, really nothing to be worried about. I became a GM when I was 18. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. No, actually, the game with which I became a GM was a draw. Very funny. Anyway, Andrea played bishop to b7. Makes perfect sense. Putting some pressure on the pawn on e4. Okay, so let's see what Dominic is going to do. He can take with like just recaptures. Maybe double up the rooks. Also makes sense. But at any rate, it's just a good position for Andrea, and she's up on time and up a pawn. So what more can you ask for? The game that made me GM was definitely not perfect. I was just down 2 pawns without much compensation, but I managed to find my way back and get a draw. I think so here, Paul. How many women GMs? I honestly don't know. Okay, 42 apparently. All right. Dominic's still thinking. The thing is, bishop a6 gave him an easy move. I mean, his queen was under attack, so he moved the queen. But now, I mean, he can pretty much do whatever he wants, which is often, which can be more difficult because you have a lot of options. I will not be commentating tomorrow. I don't know who will commentate then. I didn't see the article. No. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Dominic dropping below 4 minutes. Philip still sitting at 7. I think Andrea, I mean, I think she's going to win this game like a big chunk of the time. Because, again, a good position, much more time on the clock. With Alex, it can still definitely go either way. I mean, again, Philip has the advantage on the board, Alexander on the clock, but Alexander's definitely fought back on the board. Like, Philip's advantage is not as significant as it was before. There's definitely chances for black. In Alexander's game, 23 moves have been played as white, by white, and Dominic has played, I think, around the same. He has played 20 moves, so he needs to make another 20 moves to reach a time control, and he only has 3 minutes. Is my glass half full or half empty? Right now, my glass is empty. Anyway. I don't know, there's increment right now, but they will only get an additional 30 minutes on the clock after move 40. I'm not pessimist. I mean, it's literally empty. There's no water. All right. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Alexandra is still thinking. Again, to me, this makes perfect sense. I mean, b5, b4 doesn't do a whole lot. Gives bishop b4. I mean, I wonder if I can move the knight, or is that going to run into something bad? You got to try something. You got to try to complicate somehow. So let's see what Alexandra is going to do. She still has a lot of time, 30 minutes. So let's see what she's going to play. Apparently, Romania just scored, as the chat is saying. Okay. Okay, let's see what is what's going to happen. But now the glass is full. It's not half full, not half empty. I'm not Romanian. Okay, anyway, let's see. I'm drinking water. Anyway, so Alexander's still thinking. Andrea's board, no. Rook d2 has been played. Rook d2 by white. He's planning to double up the rooks. Okay. Maybe rook c8. We would love to get a knight at c4, but of course, the moment you go here, white's going to take. So let's see what's going to happen. I mean, she's definitely doing well here, but it's not like easy to finish it off right away or anything like that. So let's see. Maybe something like rook c8 just activating the rook cannot be bad. I guess Dominic's going to go here. King e6. King e6 looks like an illegal move. But, you know, if you can get the king there, it would be a nice move, yeah. All right, so the candidate moves for Alexander. I think bishop b4 makes a lot of sense. Putting pressure on the knight here. I think b5 makes sense. I think a5 makes sense. Maybe knight d6 attacking the queen. And then maybe repositioning the knight on e4. But your knight is already on a good square. Again, it would be great to activate this bishop somehow, but I think that's more or less impossible for the time being. So again, I like this one. Bishop b4, putting pressure on the knight. And then maybe if here, then maybe again like a5, bishop a6 is an idea. Okay, now some people have suggested knight e6. Knight e6 does make some sense, because if you take the pawn, there are ideas for knight g5, attacking the queen and the bishop. It's not clear if it actually loses a pawn. Let's see what is and Dominic is gone once again with 3 minutes on the clock. So maybe it's not a bad idea for Andrea to make a move here and just get her opponent's time ticking. Oh, yeah, he's on Alexander's camera, so he's not too far. Why would you leave the board with 3 minutes left? Some people just get nervous sitting down and they just want to stand up. They want to get away from the board. Or to stretch your legs, but I'd say that's the main thing. Just getting out of the stress zone, so to speak. I would rather lose on time than by position. Well, either way, you lose the game. And if you leave yourself no time, then you're guaranteed to lose. Anyway. All right, anyway, we have a move by Alexandra. She played. I can't tell. Wait, what was the move? Is that bishop to c6? Or rookie? I guess maybe rook e8. Rook e8, pressuring the pawn on d6. Okay. So let's see now what Philip is going to do. Maybe like rook e1, bring the rook into the game. Then maybe she can consider good knight here and here. She is leaving the pawn on d5 hanging though. Huh. Apparently, oh, Dominic left the hall for a little bit. He's back. And Dominic, I feel like he's about to leave. And he looks over and he leaves. Now's the time to make a move. Make a move. And get his clock ticking as he's away. Maybe he's like going to the restroom. Who knows? Make a move. Get his clock ticking. Oh, Dominic is back. He wasn't gone for too long. That's not considered to be bad sportsmanship. Just part of the game. All right, anyway, let's see what's going on. In the meantime, Philip is still thinking he's dropping below 6 minutes. Knight takes d5, probably too risky as black can take. And then knight e3, again, hitting the queen, and c2. You don't really want to go into that. But to me, something like rook e1 looks pretty safe. Just bring another piece into the game, strengthening that pawn on e6. Maybe what Alexander wants to do is go like knight e6, attack the queen, position the knight on e4 to cut off the defense of the pawn on e6. Or like, let's say knight d6, then f5, and then knight e4. But it might not be that easy to achieve. But I guess for now, knight d6 is kind of a threat. Because you don't really want to move the queen back this way. You want to keep it more centralized. So that is why, to me, rook e1 makes a lot of sense. Maybe then she wants to go bishop e4 to actually pin the knight. That might be her idea. Philip getting down to 5 minutes. No, they only get the extra 30 minutes on move 40. And right now, Philip is on move 23. He needs to make another 17 moves. And Dominic has played like 21 moves. Let me check. Dominic has played 21 moves. So another 19 moves for him until he gets the extra 30 minutes. What is considered to be bad sportsmanship? I mean, if you're just making obnoxious sounds on purpose to distract your opponent, or if you, let's say, offer a draw and your opponent's sound rook g2. Wow. Did not expect that one. I have no idea what the idea is. But the move has been played. I guess he wants to go rook e2, put the rook on the e-file, and not get himself into a pin. Okay, maybe now knight d6, tagging the queen, I guess the queen will move back here to continue to defend the pawn on e6. I mean, I think rook g2 is fine. Why so much time difference? That's a great question. Well, maybe because their opponents took more time earlier. That is why they have less time now. Dominic just looked right into our souls, looking into the camera. All right. Let's see what's going to happen. He's going to go rook 81 on the next move. Put pressure on the pawn on d6. What does bishop c5 do? Anyway, I have bishop c5 on what board? All right. Hello, pawn on trail. Pause on trail. Yeah, Dominic knows that you guys are talking about him. He's like, hey, why are you guys, talking about me all the time? To answer your question, I'd say yes. But yeah. I've never won Title Tuesday. Unfortunately not. No. In the meantime, Philip is down to 4.5 minutes. He needs to make another 16 moves. So let's see how Alexander can try to complicate here. Knight d6 definitely makes sense. Dominic, he's probably around the same score as Andre, probably 3.5 points as well, I would assume. Because usually you play against people who have the same or around the same points as you have. Okay, let me read the YouTube chat. Let me see what you guys are saying. Okay. Yeah, somebody's making a good point in the chat. Because of the increment, it is indeed unlikely that you flag, but you are more likely to blunder. Somebody's suggesting king e3 looks like an illegal move. They're also live on YouTube. Okay, rook g2. Okay, so let's think. Maybe like knight d6 attacking the queen. The queen moves back to h3 though. I mean, the thing is, white's not only up a pawn, white also definitely still has some solid control over the position, at least for now. So it's really difficult to do anything with black here. Like knight d6, queen here, maybe f5, but then let's say g4. So let's see what's going to happen. Definitely not an easy position here. Andrea can play knight a5, but it would allow her opponent to take the knight on a5 and double her pawns, so I'm not a humongous fan of that move. Unless... okay, maybe you can do something like this. Maybe you can do something like this. Like knight a5, white takes, you take an e4, an intermezzo, hitting the queen. White takes, you take. So you take an e4, hitting the rook on d2. And if the rook goes to e2, attacking your knight, you can go knight g5, attacking the queen, and then on the next turn, you will take the knight. But after knight takes c4, white can go like knight b3, and then if you take the rook, white recaptures the knight, and they've got two minor pieces for the rook. So that is something you have to keep in mind. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. But so maybe moving the knight to like e7 is more solid, just taking the pawn on e4 without any weird sacrifices. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Everyone is still thinking. a new GM, we can ask how the knights move. I have no idea how the knight moves. Yeah. All right. Both Alexander and Andre are still thinking. They're definitely still up on the clock. Right now they're around like 28, 27 minutes against 4 and 3 minutes. But it would be nice to keep a big time advantage. So they also shouldn't think too long. Because then before you know it, the time advantage is gone. Somebody's asking in the chat. Yes, I'm Dutch. Yeah. Good question. I don't know, Trigger. How long has chess been around? I don't know. It's been around since forever. Okay, Alexander made a move. She played, I want to say queen c6. And that is probably why her opponent quickly played rook e2 to defend the pawn. I mean, it's a little bit annoying that Philip is speeding up here. He is playing his moves a lot quicker now because he realizes, like, hey, I need to build up some time on the clock with the increment. And he doesn't want to get down to like his final minute, as then, you know, you can always panic or whatever. Of course, 4 minutes is not a whole lot, but again, it's definitely more comfortable than having a minute, 30 seconds on your clock. Yeah, the players do write down the moves. 25 moves have been played by Alexander's opponent, and Andrea's opponent has played 21 moves. Anyway, and we have another move by Alexandra. She played, I can't tell. Is that bishop to b4? Oh, wait. No? Is that the queen on b4? I can't tell. Or is that the bishop? I want to say bishop to b4, putting pressure on the knight. Let me check. Yeah, bishop to b4. Okay, putting pressure on the knight. Okay, so 4 minutes for Philip. 4 minutes for him to figure it out. She wants to go knight takes b2 and take on c3. All right, so let's see what white should do. Maybe just queen back, adding some support to the c3 knight. But then maybe you go like a5 and bishop a6 to try to do something. Oh, no, wait. Queen d3 hangs this. You don't want to do that. Okay, then, I mean, maybe objectively, as the computer's pointing out, maybe bishop b4 is not the best move. But it's not easy for white to deal with as his clock is ticking down. Like before, he was making easy moves to improve his position. Now he actually needs to calculate. He needs to worry about a knight sack on b2. What do you do about it? Maybe like rook d3. Okay. Again, queen d3 hangs this pawn over here. So there's real problems for white to figure out here. And he's only got 3 minutes to do so. He's already reaching for a piece. Let's see. 25 moves have been made in Alexander's game. So Philip doesn't have a whole lot of time. He still needs to make a lot of moves to reach time control. Let's see how he will try to do so. Maybe he can sack the bishop. Maybe. But again, it's not easy to complicate the position even further as you're getting low on time. He needs to make another 15 moves to get more time. And he's got 2.5 minutes on his clock. That's not a whole lot of time. Let's see what he will do. Yeah, like, let's say you have, like, I don't know, 20 minutes on the clock. You can take some time here, then maybe go for the sacrifice. But with 2 minutes, it's really not easy. I don't think any of their opponents are going to get flagged, but we might see them make mistakes. Okay, Philip is getting down, is getting below 2 minutes. Let's see what he will do. This is starting to look scary for him, given the time situation. All right. Okay, he's getting down to a minute. A minute for Philip. Time is ticking. Again, he's in real-time pressure. Maybe bishop takes f6 is the move, but is he going to go for it with little time? I don't know. I don't think so. He goes, wow, he goes for it. Bishop takes f6 on the board. Wow. Okay. So he is sacrificing yet another bishop. Wow. Aha, but if you take, there's knight takes d5. Attacking this, that looks really scary. How do you deal with this? I don't know. I honestly don't know what you do here. Because if you take the knight first, white takes here. So it might be a good move. Maybe knight takes b2. Going for a counterplay. Does it work though? I don't know. Maybe white can take here. You take. I don't know. Maybe knight takes b2. Maybe knight takes b2. Let's see. But again, white's going to take here, I guess. Or if you do this, white can also move the bishop because he's threatening checkmate. Also, if you take here, I mean, queen g5 is a move. Threatening mate. Rook f8 is a move, but white just takes and defends the bishop. So take, maybe bishop back, but it's a little bit sad. Or sag, as you guys like to say. I mean, then white can, let's say, take and get like a lot of pawns. Andrea taking a lot of time. She's dropping below 20 minutes. All right, so maybe it's take here. I guess I don't have BTTV installed on this computer because I don't see the frogs coming through. All right. So let's see. So knight takes b2, maybe knight takes d5. I mean, he is down to a minute. If you can throw him off here, you definitely have a chance. But I don't know. He spent some time. The sacrifice looks correct. Let's see what Alexander's going to do. She's got 26 minutes. In the meantime, Andrea moved. She played queen to g5. Okay. Attacking the queen. But I guess white's just going to go here. Defend the rook and attack this. And then I wonder what she has in mind. Because then the d6 pawn is actually hanging. Maybe queen back, but I don't know. Anyway, in the meantime, Dominic is already reaching for the rook. Sure, he's going to play it. Yeah, it's an automatic win if your opponent runs out of time. Okay, he played rook 81. Makes perfect sense. Bring the rook into the game, defending the other one. And putting more pressure over here. Okay, maybe queen e7 to defend. Let's see. What's the minimum elo required to enter this tournament? I do not know. Okay, she played queen e7. Okay, so bring the queen back. Defending the pawn on d6. All right, so now let's see what Dominic is going to do. Andrea's still a very, very clean pawn. But the game goes on. Okay, Alexandra, she's thinking 25 minutes on the clock. Yes, unless your opponent has insufficient checkmating material, then it is a draw. Yep, absolutely. How does one become a GM? You need 2,500 rating, and you need 3 GM norms. You can miss one move, but generally after like a second move has been made, you have to write. You have to write down. All right. Anyway, let's see what's going on. Alexander's is thinking she's down to 23 minutes. The guy on the left is probably 18, 17 years old. What's the time control? They have 90 minutes for the first 40 moves, plus a 30-second increment, and they will get an additional half an hour after move 40. What happens when you put your piece between two squares? I don't know, but you can't do that. You have to put the piece on clearly on one square. I don't know. Taking the bishop and then knight takes d5 looks really scary. Andrea played the Sicilian, and Alexander played the French. By the way, Andrea's opponent down to what? 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2. He moved with 2 seconds, and he played knight c1. Okay. Anyway. Okay, maybe now is a great time to go knight a5. Knight a5 and go to c4. That looks like a nice plan, and that might also cause him some trouble, especially now that he's getting low on time. I really like this move, because finally you're making some improvements in a position. I think like with 32 seconds on the clock, this is very difficult to deal with. So I like this move, knight a5. Try to go here, and just wish your opponent good luck. They are allowed because Andrea's opponent is 12. Alexander definitely still has a chance, especially given the fact their opponent is down to a minute. But not easy. Good question, spin match. Maybe they do need some sort of permission. I honestly don't know. I've never brought a camera myself to a game, so I don't know how all of that works. Anyway, so seems like Andrea played 95, nice move. The knight's headed to c4, and again, I think this is where Dominic is going to collapse. Black's got a very easy plan, knight c4, and I don't see how you stop it without blundering. And he's got 10 seconds. 10 seconds on his clock. 8, 7, 6, 5. Okay, wait. He lost on time. Well, that's what you get. And I think Andrea is pointing out, like, yeah, you lost on time. And he's like, no, but I made a move. Like, you lost on time. All right, so it seems like Andrea won. Good stuff. Yeah, again, knight a5. Yeah, I called it. I said he's gonna collapse, and that's what he did right here. I mean, difficult to defend, especially with low time. And so nice win for Andrea. She moves to 4.5 out of 6. In the meantime, wow, we have more moves in Alexandra's game. I think she took the bishop. Knight takes d5, bishop e7. Takes. All of this happened. Okay, so queen takes f6, I guess, now. Looks scary, and that's what Philip does. Attacking the rook. Okay, maybe rook e8, but then f5? I don't know. Not easy to complicate here. Yeah, all of that is on the board. And Philip, again, he's playing faster, building up some time. All right. Okay, so let's Let's see what's going to happen in Alexander's game. She has 20 minutes against 1 minute for Philip. But it seems like the position is winning for Philip. But let's see if Alexander can fight back. Anything can still happen here. She is up a piece, but he does have 4 pawns. And definitely the safer king. He lost on time. Yeah, so this is what happens. He lost on time, and then he made his move. So the clock actually said 30 minutes and 30 seconds. So whenever his time would expire, he would get 30 minutes on his clock. That's where the 30 minutes come from. And he just made his move. But he just made it 1 second too late. So the 30 minutes you guys saw is the extra time you get for the second time control. But he did not make the 40 moves. He did not make the 40 moves. So that is why he lost on time. Does that make sense to everyone? Yep. Seems fair. Yep. Okay. Makes sense to everyone. Okay. Yep, clock. Indeed. You lost because of the clock. Yep, clock. Yeah. People are like, oh, I don't understand. And then somebody's like, yep, clock. Oh, now I do understand. Yep, clock. Yeah, yep, clock. Okay, yeah. Right. He would have had 31 seconds, but indeed he had 30 minutes and 30 seconds because he did not make the time control. Had he played 40 moves, then he would have actually had those extra 30 minutes on the clock. Anyway, we see here that Alexander's opponent has 1 minute and 43 seconds against 18 minutes for Alexandra. But I don't know. The rook is under attack. The king is very weak. So not an easy position at all. All right, we see in the back Andrea, grabbing the camera. Okay, so let's see what's going to happen. All right, anyway, let's see what's going to happen. I don't know, not an easy position at all. What counts as insufficient winning material? So either if you don't have any pieces at all, or if you have, let's say, a bishop or a knight. Like a king and a bishop against the king is a draw. You cannot checkmate the king. Like you literally can't. So that is why it's a draw. Yeah, so Andreas' opponent lost on time, but he was already in a bad position. So nice win for her. All right. Let's see. Maybe like rook e8, attacking the pawn over here. She goes queen c7 to defend the rook. Okay. But I think now there's rook d7. Rook d7, take. Rook e7, attacking the queen and threatening mate. I think rook d7, unfortunately, is GG. And I think he's reaching for the rook. As chat is saying, Manka S. Yeah, rook d7 on the board. I think that's it. Again, if you take, white takes, take, and then rook e7. Unfortunately, there's no queen e2 as the square is covered. So yeah, take, rook e7. Attacking the queen, threatening mate over here and here. And after queen g4, then there's a check and checkmate. So I don't see what you do here. And yeah, I think the fact that Alexander took a little while to write down the move might tell quite a bit, in the sense that she might have been a little stunned by the move rook to d7. Rook f8 is a move, but I mean, queen to c7 is, yeah. Yeah, no, tough game. I think overall, Philip played pretty well. He played pretty well. He just played slow, which definitely gave us some hope. But I think overall he played well. I mean, it's not over yet. Yeah, no. Yeah, Andrea's game is already finished after a little more than 3 hours. And Alexander's game, I don't know, might come to an end soon. Thank you to Ilzena for the raid. Appreciate it. Welcome, everyone. For commentating on the games in Poland. Somebody is saying in the YouTube chat, seems like Benjamin hates Twitch memes. I don't hate Twitch memes. I've been rolling with the memes. How can you say I hate the Twitch memes? I don't. I'm a Twitch streamer myself. I don't hate you guys. Yeah, but if you take and then rook f8, I mean, you can first of all take rook e8 and queen, or rook e8 right away. There's really not much you can do here. Hammer likes Twitch memes. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen here. Yeah, no, 143 is still a lot of time, especially given the fact that there's the 30-second increment. So yeah, I don't know what you do here. I think it's just lost. Queen h1 unfortunately is an illegal move. If it would have been legal, then yeah, take. Queen h1 would have been great, but unfortunately you can't do that. Anyway, let's see what's gonna happen. So yeah, take, rook here. This looks winning. I don't know what you do here. Somebody's asking in the YouTube chat, how do I feel about Indian players? They have some great prodigies, especially with Arjun, Prag, Gukesh. So the future is definitely very, very bright for India. Yeah. Yeah, tough game. There's no Gukesh issue, right? I mean, yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't know if you can call Gukesh a prodigy. I mean, he's challenging for the World Championship, yeah. Queen c6, I mean, it's a little trap. If you take the rook, there's checkmate over here. But yeah, white's just gonna take the queen. And then check in here. Oh, hello, how's it going? Congrats on winning.
Is now a good time for an interview or should I wait?
Let's see. Okay, we
How's
can maybe
Alex?
have a look at the. She's losing. We can maybe have a look. I think the game is about to
Oh,
finish.
shit. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I will come later. I don't want to interrupt.
But it's
Actually,
really
I'll just wait
no. But there's
patiently.
It's checkmate in 2 now. It's
Oh,
checkmate in
God.
2.
Oh,
Queen
that's
of
rough.
7. So it's really
Okay.
about to end
I'm just
right here.
gonna-
Queen.
Yeah, I'm gonna just hi chat.
Yeah.
Damn.
So yeah, and Alexander just resigned. All right. So if you guys could hear, Andrea's
I'll
here.
put my camera on. I don't want to
Mhm.
take away from Alex's moment, but I mean, okay, this guy was really strong. He was completely undefeated. I'm assuming it was just a really tough match. What happened?
Yeah, he played really well. We can start from the beginning if you want. So it was a French, and at some point he sacrificed the bishop, and I think maybe Alexander should have just taken it, because after that it looked like he was just up a pawn for not
I was
enough.
looking here. I was so confused. But it was, and sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, like I said, I think she should have just taken the bishop, because after
Oh,
that, I mean, she definitely still had chances, but just felt like she never had quite enough for the pawn.
I see. Well,
Yeah.
that's a shame. But guess what, chat? We finally beat a kid. Let's go. Today, I broke the streak. I'm just saying. Just saying.
No, great stuff.
Yeah, I just had to, I've been holding it in patiently. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I did feel really terrible when he flagged, but at the same time, I was so happy, and it just felt like sweet, sweet revenge from all the kids who have traumatized me over the years, the weeks.
I usually feel pretty good when my opponent flags. It's like, you know, you already had a great position, but then the win is in the bag. Yeah.
And it was confusing.
But the thing is,
Oh
no, sorry, go ahead. It was confusing. Why?
It was confusing because the clock added 30 minutes when he flagged, but we both knew it was move 20 and he wasn't getting extra time. But I didn't want to be like, haha, you lose. So then we just like awkwardly looked at each other, and like he speaks Polish, doesn't speak English. So like I just kept looking at him, and I was like, I don't know, like I don't want to be the one to kid me like you just lost. So I was just like waiting, and I'm like, and I look confused, and then he finally goes, you won. And then I'm like, I'm sorry. And then I shake his hand. But the poor kid, an entire game, I hate playing with kids because they keep looking at me. And he's always like, I don't understand. Like this kid, usually kids don't really look at the board very long, but then usually they redeem themselves in the blitz. But the kid just kept like the entire time, like giving me weird eye contact. So that's why I didn't spend a lot of time at the board. And honestly, I really don't like playing against kids. I don't want to play against kids anymore.
I think nobody really enjoys playing against kids because there's like not much to gain. Because like if you win, like, oh, you beat a kid, and like if you lose, oh, you lost against a kid, like then everyone is making fun of you. So I think you're not alone with that. But yeah, I think you played a really good game. So do you want to tell the viewers about it?
Yeah, I'll just keep ranting about kids for a minute, and then we can look at the chess. Chat said he thinks he has a crush. The first round, there was like, I swear to God, this 8-year-old boy sitting next to me, chat, and the entire game, the kid is just staring me down. I'm like, I'm a grown woman. I don't want to play chess versus kids anymore. What? Anyways, you have to beat the kids to play with the big boys. So hopefully tomorrow I get a juicy 2000 who's above the age of 18. That'd be nice. But I have a very good short idea after this. I'm gonna make a TikTok about point of view playing chess versus kids because I've had it, and the worst thing too is their buddies are always coming too, and then you have a bunch of their 8-year-old buddies coming and checking in throughout the game, and it's so not fun. Like, even beating kids at chess is not satisfying. Like it's not fun to play them, and it's not fun to beat them, but losing to them is much worse.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay, we can talk. I mean, yeah, okay, we could talk about the game. I think it'd be good to know if there's like opening wise. This was my first. I was trying to fix because I think he prepped for when I played versus the delayed Alapin in my last tournament, and I went knight e7 instead of knight f6. And I wasn't very familiar with this position, but I feel like d6 was the right move. Otherwise, there was a lot of threats, and then I just feel like I was better. But yeah, let me know if you have any notes.
Oh, because I guess normally you guys have Hammer, and Hammer is also like your coach. Well, I'm just a commentator here.
No, Hammer is just my sister's favorite coach. I'm just the second child. He doesn't coach me. Alex Benzea does. I'm not good enough for Hammer yet. Yeah.
Right. No, but I think overall you played pretty well. Because maybe bishop b4 is slightly unusual, bring the bishop out that early, because often you'll have to give it up.
Oh, that was my prep. That was my prep.
This was still your preparation. Okay, nice.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I need to go over the theory.
Right, but I thought definitely around, like, h3 was just way too slow by him, and after this, I think you just had a very comfortable advantage.
Yeah, what I think was after h3, I was like, okay, today is finally the day I beat a kid. But I was the interesting thing I was more worried about. Oh, like he did go bishop g5 later. I'm thinking, can you go one move back? Oh, yeah, or here too. Yeah, I mean, okay, if he went to h4, my plan was maybe after h6.
Wait, you mean here?
H4. Yeah, I was thinking like, okay, if he keeps, oh yeah, this bishop c1 was also really bizarre. I don't know if I was supposed to take the knight earlier, But I think here my plan would have been like queen e7, knight d8, knight e6, knight f4. Because I was just thinking like, okay, here White's plan is to go knight d2 and try to push the f4 pawn and open the file and double my pawns. So I'm curious if that was correct. And I'm also curious if bishop c1 was correct for him.
Bishop c1 definitely felt way too passive, because even if he gets the bishop out to a3, he's not doing much. I thought here maybe you can also go like queen a5 to just stop it altogether.
Oh yeah. I felt like I obviously I saw queen a5, and then I decided not to go for it, and then I realized like I underestimated the attack that was coming. Maybe this was good because it just prevents it right away. It's kind of silly not to play this. I feel like it was kind of obvious.
Right, but I think what you did was good as well. Knight d7 and then knight c5. And yeah, I mean, he had some. I mean, it definitely felt like he never had enough compensation. And I really liked b6. Maybe you can already play it here. So knight d2.
Yeah, queen g6 first wasn't good, just to provoke king h2.
I think queen g6 was also fine. But maybe now he can, let's say, go queen e3. And so now after b6, the knight will not be pinned.
Queen e3. Oh, I didn't consider queen e3. That's nice. I only thought king h2. I missed queen e3. Okay, that makes sense.
But anyway, like you keep a big advantage here with black.
Cool. No, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, I got pretty lucky. Like I was just kind of a pawn and he didn't have enough to attack. I think, yeah, queen a5 earlier and then missing queen e3. And then also, okay, I spent a lot of time when I went queen g5, queen e7. And that was when I decided, okay, I'm just gonna try to beat him on the clock. And I'm just gonna play solid because I really didn't have that many moves here. And like, yeah, I was kind of stuck here.
Yeah, no, it makes sense because it feels like you have a great position, you're up a pawn, but there's no easy way to finish it off or anything. So
yeah,
I think what you did is a very valid strategy because he pretty much just self-destructed after queen e7. Like knight c1 just made your job a lot easier.
The kid had 2 minutes, but let's say, okay, I was expecting, okay, queen g5, rook d1, queen e7, and then he didn't have to bring his knight back. He could have just stalled with like queen e3, and then maybe I would have won rook c8, and now I'm just like, okay, where do we go from here? Like, what is black's plan?
Yeah, I honestly also don't know. It's not that easy to improve the position. But yeah, this is sometimes like what low-rated players or especially kids do. For them it's more difficult to sit, and they might self-destruct with a move like that.
Yeah, but let's say it was like a classical player. Like, what would be your strategy to beat them here, or to just, I guess, push and stall? You would just shuffle your pieces around. Like I move king f8, f6, maybe not f6. Like what type of moves would you make?
Maybe like knight a4 the right moment to target this pawn over here. Or maybe like try to.
Oh, doesn't that lose a pawn?
Oh yeah, no, it does. Yeah, knight a4 hangs the pawn on d6. That's not good.
It's okay. Chess is hard. Forget about it.
Yeah.
I won. That's all that matters. Oh, it's okay.
Exactly.
That's enough chess. Anyways, well, chat, I wanted to tell him, I wanted to be like, I also flagged IRL before versus a kid, but I don't think he understood me. But I wanted to tell him that, but that's okay. Oh my God.
Make him feel better, yeah?
Well, Alex, wait.
Yeah, both of you guys are on 4.5 out of 5.
Are we tied?
Yes, but both of you had the black pieces, so I don't know if you guys will get paired against each other.
That would be juicy. Even though I really wanted Alex to win. But now there's something exciting to look forward to. And yeah, that could be a really good match. Because I feel like I've grown since last time we played. And I've become much more patient. So that could be exciting, chat. Andrea
That'd
thinking
for sure.
Yes, revenge arc. Well, I just hope this time if we do play a game, not to get roasted by Levy's comment section where they say, this is Andrea's chess in a nutshell. She plays an albeit mundane opening just to sacrifice in a very decent position and loses the game. So if I get paired versus my sister again, I'm not sacrificing. So that's my plan. As long as I don't sacrifice, it's fine. Nothing else matters.
Well, she might use that against you, if she knows that you're not going to
Yeah,
sacrifice.
she'll definitely play the mind games. I'll have to show up with like
Uh-huh.
sunglasses and poker hat and like full be in disguise. But
Okay, nice.
well,
So,
yes, Benjamin, sorry.
oh, so yeah, how have you guys been enjoying the tournament so far?
Well, I like the chess. There's not really much to go here in Poland. Like I'm not gonna I'm not gonna even show you guys the state of my room. And I've kind of just been living off of like sausages and pierogies in my room. And there was an incident that happened outside that I can't even share that was very scary. And now I'm scared to go outside, but I think today we're gonna go outside because we finished early and Alex. So yeah, and there's a lot of kebab here, but the city is beautiful. I'm just not in the city. I'm in the suburb. Otherwise than that, everything's fine. But you know what? We're surviving. We're surviving. But yes. I generally love Poland, but I had like a scary experience on the streets by just a random man. So that was a little scary. But otherwise than that, everything's fine. Eating lots of kebab. And yeah, you know what? Now that I'm tied with my sister, now I'm much happier.
Wow.
Okay, well, good to hear.
Oh, Alex is here.
Hello, Alexandra.
That's really fucked up.
I just told chat that I am not trying to beat you. I'm just trying to put up a proper fight because last time I didn't. I wasn't putting you down. And I also said I wish that you won, but I'm now excited that there's a chance we could get paired. Oh my God, chat, we can finally make a video called Streamer Destroys 8-Year-Old.
A2 Brutus.
Brutus? Like the Roman
Yeah.
dude?
Yeah, the one who killed his friend. He was the one he didn't expect to turn on him when he was low, and yet he did.
I'm not turning on you. I'm just putting up a game so that Gotham Chess's comment section won't roast me. It ain't that deep, Roman Emperor.
I'm sad.
Well, let's go on a walk, sister.
It happens.
Will you still go on a walk with me?
Well, it hasn't happened the last 19 games. It was about to, if I had not lost, it would have been 20 games, no losses.
He sacked, and the one time you don't take it. Did I teach you anything? I died for nothing, sister. I sacrificed so that you could live, and the one time someone sacks, you don't take it. Maybe I'm Brutus after all. Or you're Brutus. I don't actually know how the story goes.
I don't think Brutus turned on Caesar. He was one of his good friends, and people turned on Caesar, but Caesar never expected his close friend to do it.
I see. Well, good thing we're family, not friends. Because we're best friends.
Oh, his son? It was his adopted son? Yeah, they were family, just like you're my adopted daughter.
True. Et tu? Oui.
Well, I'm just sad, so I have nothing to say.
Well, let's go on a nice walk. Yeah?
Yeah, sorry about the loss. I mean, it happens. But I felt like I all of a sudden I got stuck in this fight between these two sisters. I don't know what to say. But I guess he played well. Did you consider accepting the bishop sacrifice? Because I guess that was the critical moment of the game.
I did. I was looking at it the entire time, and I just thought it was really bad because I would lose d5 as well.
Yeah, it looks very scary. Yeah, because he takes, and then all of a sudden, but maybe you can include knight c4 or something first. I don't know.
I mean, can you show me what line you thought was? I just couldn't find any lines that were good after that, and I looked at knight c4 first. I looked at taking.
Yeah, maybe knight c4 first is clever because if he goes to d3, then you have knight c5. So
I assume he just goes queen e1, and then what?
And then I guess you take, and he takes, and then maybe like here, take with bishop, or then. I mean, it looks scary, but I guess this might be better than the game.
D5 also. I thought this looked worse, but I could obviously be wrong.
Yeah, no, I'm not blaming you. Yeah, it looks really scary over the board. Yeah, because he gets 3 pawns, and also he gets a strong e pawn. So it happens. But I was just wondering. I see you guys have been playing a lot of chess. Like, have you guys found any new motivation, any new goals? What is the why have you guys been playing so much lately again?
I want. Go ahead, Andrea.
No, it's okay. You first.
No, you start.
No, it's okay. I don't know if I want to share my goal.
No, go ahead.
I forgot what it was, actually. I don't remember my goal, but I just will say it could perhaps happen in a future tournament in potentially a country that starts with P, but there's lots of them, so who knows? I don't know.
What?
Nothing. What's your goal, sister?
Well, I wanted to never lose a chess game again and win a 3rd tournament in a row, but the dream is dead and there's nothing to live for, so I don't know anymore.
Oh my god. It's like hearing you complain is like when the most perfect person who's like has everything is a 10 out of 10 is like, oh, I'm not happy about my hair today. You won 2 tournaments back to back. You want to know what happened my last chess tournament? I rage tilted to 3 12-year-olds in a row, was so embarrassed and so humiliated that I had to take a flight home directly out of the tournament, literally just went home and cried and called my mommy like a big loser, okay? At least you're a champion. At least you won a tournament in the last year. You know what? I haven't actually won a tournament in the last 10 years. I don't think I've won something since I was 15. So at least you had a win. Enjoy that you had it.
Oh, that made me feel better. Thanks, Andrea.
Yeah, you're welcome.
At least Benjamin, thank you for coming on this. For Benjamin,
it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess Hammer's more used to being in the middle of these fights, but I guess like I think every chess player has a what's it called? Existential crisis after a loss. So don't feel too bad.
What is it all for? I don't know anymore.
Not again.
It's for content. The people are enjoying the content.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll recover, hopefully. It's for self-improvement. Yeah, there's only 3 more games left, so I guess that's okay.
You can still win, maybe, if you win all of the other games.
I don't think I can still win, but if I can at least be, yeah.
You have a very good score, and I think learning how to bounce back is very important, and also just learn your mistake from this game. But again, you have had unbelievable luck, literally absolutely insane. Like, not only winning last tournament was crazy, but winning all these games were in a row. So I really don't think, I know it sucks to lose, but you should just look at what lesson you can take from this game and, start studying, because I'm coming for you, buddy.
Okay, well, I think on that note, maybe we sign off. And
I didn't mean luck, I meant skill. You guys know what I mean. No, but we had this conversation. Alex has insane luck and skill, like in poker, like when she just gets winning hands back to back. So I think it's still a good day.
But I've also had really bad streaks as well.
I know.
But
well,
yeah.
We should still go on a walk tonight because we finished early and we can finally go outside. And I'm tired of eating potatoes. Do you see these potatoes? I couldn't even eat any more potatoes. I can't eat potatoes anymore.
Do you want to get dinner downstairs first?
No, I don't want to eat in this hotel anymore. No one can see my potatoes.
I like the food here. It's so good.
I would like some nutrients. Please feed me, sister. Please.
Oh, okay. We'll figure it out after. I feel like we've kept Benjamin hostage.
Okay.
And Hammer is at least used to it. But
it's fine. It's fine. No worries. But yeah, I guess
right,
just go on a walk. Oh yeah, I'll let you guys sign off.
Potato.
Okay, well,
I
thank you guys.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna try and focus that like the next 3 games are another tournament and just try to do my best and I guess I'm a loser now, but it's okay. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.
Goodbye, chat. See you later.
Bye. Bye everyone.
guys.
Thanks for watching.
Bye, Benjamin. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
All right, bye everyone. Thanks for watching. I guess we're just gonna wrap up. I thought they were gonna have the last words, but I guess yeah. Well, thanks everyone for watching. Hope all of you guys enjoy watching. We're gonna raid Nemo, so make sure to tune in tomorrow. I don't know who's gonna be commentating, but I guess same time, same place. And yeah, I'm sure they'll bounce back. See you guys.